Everyone, welcome to House of Genius. You guys are all in for a treat. I'm excited. Thank you for your time. It is truly your most valuable asset. Whatever you did this morning, I hope it was good because you don't get to do it again. We are here to create a creative, constructive collaboration on behalf of 3 presenters. And can I see the presenters raise their hands? Thank you. They're all here and accounted for. These are the rules of engagement, and we're going to dive right in. All right? There's going to be a 5-minute presentation. It is our presenter's job to inform us for a constructive collaboration about a challenge or an ask or something that they're unsure of. And we are here collectively to help them tackle that. Right? You're here because you have a unique perspective that needs to be applied. After their 5-minute presentation, they're going to end it with an ask. You get 1 to 2 minutes of clarifying questions. Just raise your hand. We're all adults here, and I'll call on everyone. Make your question not open-ended, something that can help you give constructive feedback, right? And then once that's done, we're going to go around and everyone gives their first thoughts and feedback. Maybe 1 and 1A, if you're concise about delivering it. We got a lot of people in the room and a lot of intellectual horsepower that we're trying to tap into, okay? And so if you get long-winded, my job as the conductor of this conversation is to be the charming asshole every now and then, and I might just try to get you to wrap it up. Don't take it personally. We're just trying to move the conversation along. All right, we're going to do that for about 45 to 50 minutes per presenter. We have 3 presenters to get through. At the end of each presentation, we'll have a 5-minute break, but it's sharp. We're back at the table, and we're diving into the next one. All right. At the end of the 3 presentations, we'll do what is called the reveal. And that'll be the moment where we go around and everyone has a chance to introduce themselves and whatever from your background you think is important after you've already connected with all these beautiful minds in the room. Okay, but it's not about credentials. So when you're giving your feedback, please don't qualify your statements. If you do, I will cut you off. Don't say in my 10 years of experience. We don't need any of that. Equally, don't disqualify yourself. Don't say anything like, I don't know anything about this, but just share what you know. Now, as we make our way around, if somebody has already stolen your thunder, just +1 that person, because that helps us understand like we're all driving towards this sort of perspective. And feel free to be sophisticated and use the -1 if you strongly disagree, all right? But the point here is to be additive to the conversation, and if anybody tries to take it over, you're gonna get a whole lot of me, all right? And so our first presenter is gonna be Elijah. Are you ready to go?
Ready to go.
And you will hear a clock, you will hear an alarm go off. Try to wrap it up as soon as you can at the end of that. And again, clarifying questions, but then we'll dive into first thoughts afterwards, okay? And Elijah, tell me as soon as you're ready so I can hit. You get 5 minutes. This is not a pitch, everyone. This is him informing us so that we can help them tackle the challenge that they're facing right now, okay? No pressure. Okay, there you go. You're good. I doubt that's a touchscreen. All right, you ready? You're on the clock. Let's go.
Cool. All right, hi everyone. My name is Elijah Wilson. I'm the founder of Ticketry grows fan engagement beyond the event. Our innovative protocols empower fans to share their game day experiences through on-chain gamification, growing organic reach, providing host organizations with a single source of truth for personalized fan insights. So it's obvious that ticketing is broken. Everybody knows it. Every single year, 11 million fans are scammed on incumbent providers, Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, you name it. So about 60% of fans actually say that the biggest deterrent that stops them from going to their favorite live events is the outrageous fees, with fees typically ranging from 27 to 50%. But what's not so obvious is that there's a huge fan disconnect and a real missed opportunity where tickets now have 0 post-event value. And that minimizes social reach and really makes it more difficult for hosts to kind of boost their fan retention efforts. We also know that fan behavior is changing. The incumbent providers in traditional ticketing processes do not allow host organizations to keep up with this ever-changing behavior. Here on the left, you can see that younger generations do not have higher attendance rates. And again, this is because they're more cost sensitive to these sky high ticket fees. In the middle here, you see that loyalty levels actually drop in younger generations. This is assumed to be because younger generations are actually more social. They're more influenced by, hey, are their friends going to the event? Have their friends gone to the event before? And on the right, you can see that younger generations, younger people are about 5 times more likely to care about digital ownership in comparison to older generations. So what does this tell us? It tells us that younger fans are more cost sensitive, or more cost conscious, more socially influenced, and more digitally engaged than the older families. So this is what Ticket Treat is. The box office fan experience. Our distribution flywheel hosts social impressions by 26%, leveraging the attention economy to not only give fans more value, but boost organic growth for these host organizations. So step one, like we just mentioned, that data shows these fans are more cost conscious. So with Ticket Treat, each fan enters this brand ecosystem through their ticket purchase. Because our tickets in our system are on chain, each ticket is 100% verified and 100% authentic. And we can also cut out a lot of nonsense fees that you see on existing TV platforms. So there is the cost conscious aspect. Step two is in our platform, we allow host organizations to turn each fan's ticket into a digital collectible after the event. So keeping fans digitally engaged. And then lastly, we know that these younger fans are very social compared to previous generations. So what we've allowed is, or what we've created is a program where fans can share these digital collectibles onto a Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or social media platform for redeemable points to go to their next ticket purchase. So traditionally, the ticketing fan experience is very linear. And what we've done is actually created a circular model that not only allows for a trusted ticket purchase experience, but it allows fans to build a long-term relationship with their game. So this allows us to stack up very well against our competitors. We don't really go against Ticketmaster or SeatGeek because we know we're never going to win that battle, at least at this moment in time. So we really kind of focus on these smaller leagues like Minor League Baseball, United Soccer League, NCAA. We're trying to tap into. Traditional ticketing platforms, our competitors right now, really just focus on transaction first, but we have a fan-first approach where we can distribute collectibles to these fans, build trust through secure on-chain tickets, and the social gamification aspect, which I've mentioned. Ticket also beats most of these competitors on lower platform fees, giving hosts access to social media analytics that are based from their fans' ticket purchase behavior. A simple fan experience. A lot of these providers are really weak. They look like their website was built in 2000 and never updated since. And then SMS, email notifications, really increasing DTC touch points for host organizations within the fan base. Traction. So far, within a year, we actually built our MVP. We've launched our first pilot events. We're backed by Level Up Ventures in Spin Labs, their California venture firm. We're in an accelerator, and they're committed to helping us close our seed round. We've raised $42,000 through bootstrapping, selling almost fan membership passes on our platform. We received a micro grant from the Solana Foundation, our blockchain, we run Solana. Here is kind of the focus of that I have of you guys, is our GDM strategy. So right now, we're focused on partnering with 5 to 10 organizations to kind of test out the platform, see how it works in the fan base. And then what we want to do is, what we have done already, is if teams or organizations are already in ticketing contracts, what we'll do is modularize our offering, offer them collectible distribution for the fans at the events, build that relationship with the organization, and at the end of their ticketing contract, we foster that relationship. So again, now we're looking to kind of roll out the semi-pro and collegiate college areas. Really just target sales outreach in college. We really want to tap into the NIL world with NIL collectives, saying, hey, if you help us get into ticketing at your school, we'll maybe give you guys a 5% rebate on each ticket sale that you can use and shop further corporate sponsorships for the student athletes. So something that we're running into now, the question that we need help with is how can Ticket Treat position itself as both a ticketing solution and a fan engagement platform without being confined into either category.
Perfect. Thank you. A couple of quick things, and to the presenters. During first thoughts, as we go around, you're not allowed to say anything. You just have to listen. And even if somebody's feedback is a question, you can't answer it, all right? You got to wait all the way around. So, and once it's done, if there's some points that people hit, you can address that, but don't defend your baby. And you've been thinking about it every day, all day. Everyone's coming at this fresh. Just take it as validation, all right? Clarifying questions, we're going to do about a minute and a half of that. I'm going to start with what does older and younger mean? Like, what's the cutoff there? And where did that number come from? So you can answer that.
Can I answer that?
Yeah. Clarify. We're not doing first group yet. Right.
Younger is Gen Z and millennials, and then the older generations have this band.
Forgive me. So Gen Z is how old?
I think Gen Z is, I want to say, the cutoff is from 14 years old now, I believe, until about 30. Then I want to say it's 30 years old until 42. So
Okay, so older is older than 30?
40.
40.
45.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have a clarifying question? Just raise your hand. Yeah, and if you can make your name tag so I can see it, so I can call it. Ari.
How do you define loyalty in the context of that graph? And how do you define digital ownership?
Yeah, totally. So, answer this question good. Yeah. So, loyalty is defined by, in that one specific study, actually, a lot of studies support this. I'll go back to the slides. Loyalty here in the middle is the percentage of people in the Gen Z and millennial demographic that have a favorite team. It's actually about 62%, but in older generations, it hovers around 75 to 80%, so there's a drop off there. In terms of like what host organizations also kind of what factors are important to fan loyalty is how many games do they return for? So are they a one-time fan? Do they come to 5 games a season, 10 games a season? And those rates are also dropping. And then for digital ownership, the question was, what is that?
How do you define it in this context?
Yeah, so we see with kind of the blockchain bull run that we've seen over the last, around 2020, 2022 or so, in the NFT space was that it really attracted the Gen Z and millennial group of people rather than the older generation. So what that shows is that these fans and these younger people are more kind of value more of actual real digital ownership rather than just having, hey, I have a video on my phone, everyone can have that same video, but saying, hey, I have this digital asset, whether it's a photo, a video, a ticket, a collectible, and actually being able to verify that ownership and that individuality of that asset itself.
Okay. Any other? Yep.
Is there any kind of standardizing for what the collectibles look like, or are the teams 100% in control of what those look like?
Yeah, the teams are 100% in control of what they look like. This is kind of the mock design that we've used so far. Right now we actually just signed one an MMA organization for 2025 ticketing. They do follow this kind of design template where it's kind of their logo, it's branded to them. And then there's a little animation, there's an exclusive piece of content or a highlight from the event itself.
So there's a template provided to the teams?
There's a template provided, yes, but if their own media team wants to design it their own way,
they don't have to use it.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, we're going to dive into first thoughts. Fantastic job, everyone. You can go pop back in your seat. Put your ask up so that we have that. And so here we go. First thoughts. I'm going to start, and we're going to work our way around. We'll go to my left, and we'll come all the way around. Sorry, you're going to have to go last.
Okay, I'm glad.
All right. All right. As this lands on me, the first thing that like immediately is like, hell yes, is we take care of fraud, of like getting a ticket, which I think is fantastic because a lot of people, if they're not season ticket holders, you're going to an event once a year maybe, and the idea that you're a platform of confidence for that, this social element of it, like where you're saying being confined to either category, and maybe I'm part of the older, without qualifying myself, but like events are moments in time. I get the idea that you want to capture it, it sounds like you're trying to create a social engagement around that or some sort of NFT element to it. To me, it sounds like you're trying to solve a number of problems, some of which are generational. And in the way that you tell the story, I think you need to get really crystal clear on that.
Yeah.
Zach?
Yeah, the main thing, and it gets to the root of the question here for me is how you tell the story and how you frame things. Like, how do you not get pigeonholed into either being a ticket solution or a fan engagement platform? That's what we're answering here. So like, it all like, narrative's everything. So the only fan engagement ticketing solution, the fan engagement platform that drives sales. So I think marrying those two things together and having that be like your modifying statement is a good start, and then having like a long tail of messages that just hammer home how like those two things work really well together. But I would be really concise around like drive how fan engagement drives ticket sales, fan engagement drives ticket sales, fan engagement, like just over and over, like simple, and all the everything else is sort of like really strong proof points for that. But I would lean into those two things together and sort of like with them, that's how you're driving. That's how you're driving outcomes, driving business outcomes.
Thank you. Iris?
It seems that you are, based on your presentation, very sports focused at the moment. I have curiosities about the potential for other types of events, because there are many other types of events, like concerts, for example. I know that there's obviously some monopoly-esque situations with other companies that you don't want to step into competition with just yet, but I am curious about what you could do with other events outside of the sports world.
Thank you, Iris. Ariel?
Yeah, so plus one to what Zach said. I think that, like, it's interesting that the question is like how can we position ourselves as both? Because it seems like the reality is, like, usually when you sell someone something, you want to sell them that thing again, and the way to do that is to engage them, and the way to kind of like show that to the different folks who are trying to sell tickets is to show, hey, like, when people who use the solution sell 3 times as many tickets, and with fans say like, hey, it's way easier for you to find out about the events that you care about. So to me, it seems like, yeah, this is like a really natural loop, but you have to make sure that you tell that story really crisply through analytics. On the collectible side, I was like, maybe I'm too old to care about like a collectible ticket, but...
Don't disqualify yourself.
Oh, sorry.
Just kidding.
I could be really young,
Just
guys. I
kidding.
could totally be Gen Z.
Just kidding.
But I was thinking with that, like, the thing that is interesting is like for a collectible to, in my mind, count as a collectible, like it needs to have value that like can be traded, right? Like trading cards or pins or Barbies or whatever you collect. And I didn't hear anything about like being able to trade the collectibles, and maybe that's like way down the road, but that was just something like they have to actually be able to be collected by somebody. Like, I should be able to collect everyone else's from this event if I care.
Thank you, Ariel. Josh?
Just one thing to keep in mind would be to find ways to separate and distinguish yourself from platforms that specialize in fan engagement and ticketing solutions specifically. So I guess one thing to think about would be, why would anyone want to go to you individually when they could just go to a fan engagement platform and a ticketing solution independently? Does that make sense? So finding a way to kind of merge the two in a way that's distinct from one or the other in isolation.
Thanks. Liz?
To kind of build off of what Ariel was saying, I want to see the branding change from collectible to something focused a lot more on the benefit that provides, because it sounds like it's not actually a collectible, but rather the valuable aspect of it is the fact that, oh, if you get so many of these, you get a free ticket or 50% off or some sort of customer value that has them coming back for more, much like those little like value cards that sometimes you get at like coffee shops. So if the video itself is not so unique that it is, in itself meant to be traded, but in fact meant to be kept, I want to see that branding change. I think it'll be a lot clearer to be able to tell the story if you can find some phrases that are really going to well communicate that is the intention. And then just one other thought, I think your branding might need a little bit of massaging. Ticketry and your logo made me think a lot of a woodworker. So
That's good.
I don't know if anyone else felt that way.
That's good. Justin?
So I'm worried a little bit about the available market of ticket vendors and venues and the friction in trying to displace them. A lot of the, even at the professional level, a lot of these sports franchises will describe themselves as like billion-dollar family pizza shops, and they're very resistant to change. And so I wonder, is this an opportunity to think about who is your customer really, and can you target the talent instead of the delivery vehicle, like the performers and their audience and the fans that you want to engage with, and you might be able to establish a longer relationship with them beyond when they're at that venue, because those performers are going to these other places, and you could be ticket validation instead of like ticketing.
Yep, thank you. Kristen?
Yeah, I agree kind of what Liz said about
And can everyone speak up? Because the acoustics in this room are odd. But
kind of what the after is I see a lot of potential in the excitement for the game, but what makes it something that you want to collect after. I saw nothing about like how it's displayed on your app or anything about how to share them, show with others. That part is kind of the fan engagement to me, so I see it as a ticketing solution, but I think there needs to be some work done in the fan engagement side of it.
thank you. Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's kind of said the same thing, but another thing that I noticed is with the fan engagement element, you're sending me someplace else, whereas if I go to Instagram to post something, I'm probably not coming back. Versus if you thought of more fan engagement elements that I can do within the app, like I have a Manchester United app, I can buy tickets on it, but I could also set up who I think the starting 11 should be, or I could talk to other people. Like, what are the engagement things that you're doing within your app so I don't go someplace else and then never return?
Thank you. Kara?
I'm gonna +1 to what Zach said, but I'm also, I do like the fact that you can post it on your social media, because that is, you're branding yourself as well, and it's getting Ticketry out there, but I don't know how good that's gonna be for the long run, as well as printing it out. I know people don't do that anymore, but I think that's would be cool.
Okay. Jordan?
+1 to Justin. The accessibility of the market is complicated in ticketing, so I would go straight to, instead of choosing how to define the problem or how to present the problem, figure out your audience first and go say who hates Ticketmaster, and go talk to them specifically about what are your problems, what do you care about, and then that's what you lead with from there, and actually get in the arena. And so I'd lead to I stopped. I loved the initial fraud side as well, of just that's an enormous part of this. Ticketmaster is bad at what they do and they have a monopoly. And so how can you get in and just solve a simple problem within the audience that already hates them?
Thank you. Clay?
+1 to, I think, the way Iris described it. I mean, I like that there's a thinking here to be flexible and not go all in on one thing, but I think doing one thing really well is important for any venture, and being ready to pivot. Why can't you pick one and then be ready for that pivot in the future? But go where the money is in the market, find your niche and then land and expand, pivot as you needed.
Thank you. Will?
+1 to Ariel, because what I was thinking about when you mentioned on-chain was the potential to disrupt sports betting, and by creating value in that collectible. You mentioned being on-chain, perhaps tokenization, and so the fan engagement by having something of value, by participating in attendance, and then you could use that for something such as sports betting. I only go to that because it's been pegged as a bubble market, so there's potential for disruption there, and in the wake of anything popping, there's opportunity. So there could be a reason to come back because you have that valuable thing that you've accumulated by attending these events, and then you can reuse them, bet them, whatever they need. So just thought.
Thank you. Steph?
People attend events because it's fun, right? It's a good experience. So rather than actually focusing on marketing the technology itself, I would focus on selling the experience. People just want to have a good time. People want to stay engaged. I would sell the experience, because I think that would be the main driver in terms of what is different in your go-to-market strategy, in terms of everyone's on this app, they're sharing it on social, there's buzz going, you can win points, you can go get more tickets, you can get discounts on merchandise, you can get discounts on future tickets. I would just really lean into the experience itself and almost make the tech stack secondary in your marketing plan.
Thank you. George?
I want to +1 to the being really excited about the fraud right off the bat. another plus one to the multiple times that concerts versus sports has kind of come up because, oftentimes you talked about the fees associated with buying tickets online, but it's also the market is dictated by most often the season ticket holders that are just reacting to the market and trying to like make their price fair enough so that they can sell their tickets, sometimes desperately, sometimes aggressively. And so I think I kept waiting for here, and maybe I don't want to jump ahead, but I kept waiting to hear like how you're going to make money with this.
Fair enough. Michelle.
So plus one to Justin, I love the whole idea of really checking out who your customer truly can be so that you could have longevity with it. And I love who's next to Zach said as well, with regards to not only considering sports, but just like other events.
Thank you. Ari.
So plus one to Zach on the tactics as related just specifically to this question. Hammer, like the thing that drives the sales platform that drives engagement. Absolutely. Another plus one to Aris on multiple markets available for this kind of thing. Plus one to Ariel. And then biggest one is plus one to Clay is at this stage, like neither sides of your business here are like net new, completely novel technology. You're augmenting and improving. And so there's no reason to tie yourself to being or not being something at this stage. Be open, go where the market takes you.
Thank you. Savon.
Plus one to Justin and Jordan.
It's competition, by the way. We're keeping score.
I got really excited just listening to everyone's feedback. At first, I felt like I didn't feel like there was a big opportunity, and now I feel like there's a huge opportunity after hearing everyone speak. And what dawned on me is that I do think that this is going to be a really hard road trying to sell this as a ticket platform, because if there is one huge problem that venues are having with ticket platforms, then perhaps you can solve it. I don't know that you're going to be able to like hit that with a sledgehammer and nail it. However, there's no reason that you can't just be an engagement platform. You don't need to be a ticket platform to be an engagement platform. There's no reason you can't be the goat.com for on-chain experiences. So there's no reason that you can't have the best 7-second video of an upper right-hand corner goal that no one else has, and you trade on that, and you get the transaction fees on every trade, right? What I would do is I would test. It sounds like you got enough in your pipeline for the ticket treat for the system for the ticketing solution. So you test that out and figure out if you could solve enough big problems to kind of get some traction. But at the same time, I would just build a marketplace and see if people start trading on, cool, what do you call them, collectibles.
Thank you. Gina.
Plus one to Steph. I think you need to focus on the experience, and I think the generation or demographic that you're focusing on is all about experience when they travel or whatever they're doing. So I think that's your area of opportunity.
Thank you. Warren.
So plus one to Zach and Justin. I mean, I do feel like if you're worried about being one or the other, own the intersection between them. But I think thinking about this from not just the venue perspective, but from the talent perspective, and then from the consumer perspective, and how is this the place where my memories from events that I've been to, where this is a curated place for me as a consumer to show off and share, cool things that I've done in the last year, 2 years, 3 years. I think you got a lot of opportunity to be just that.
Okay, thank you, Megan.
Well, this is hard because I'm the last to go.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm gonna start
Project.
with plus one to Jordan. I love looking at the competition. Plus one to Clay. I think that one of the beautiful parts of being where you are in this is it doesn't matter which one you choose. Any step you make in the wrong direction, you can easily rectify and go backwards and do something different. So it doesn't have to be black or white, one or the other, right or wrong. And I really like that perspective. I also agree with Steph, the monetizing of the moment, the engagement really matters. I love the idea of the people who collect the highest value moments. And Tivon just said something about, monetizing those moments and reselling those. I thought that was really brilliant as well. But my gut says engagement is the first step.
Fair enough. Okay, so you have a chance to address some things. Don't defend your baby. I think it was pretty clear. There's a pick a lane. You're trying to be all things to all people, right? And trying to make everybody happy. But you need to pick the one thing that you're amazing at, or that you're solving. Whether that's social engagement and creating this essentially a trading card of a memory, which is interesting, or fraud, right? Like those are very distinct lanes. And so I feel like the collective feedback was, pick a lane, which is tough to do because you don't want to pick the wrong one. Anything you want to address, so this is collaborative now. If you have something you want to say, just raise your hand and I will just coordinate who's next, okay? So what do you want to say to the room?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you. It's all great feedback. I'm trying to process it all.
Louder.
Speak up.
Yeah.
Great feedback. Someone asked about the biz model, so I'll try to nail easy things out. For tickets, it's a 15% markup, which is still less than industry standard. So if someone else spoke to our traction. So we have 2 LOIs or contracts ready for 2025 ticketing. It's projected around $250,000 to $300,000 in revenue for Ticketry. That comes off that 15% fee. In terms of the fraud and engagement, so when I actually first started this journey, I was able to speak with a lot of CMOs, directors of ticketing at NHL, NBA organizations, and they really just want both fraud and something to engage with. Or fraud, they don't want fraud, they want fraud protection, and something that they can kind of use to give their fans more value in kind of a one-stop purchase, right? So that was the idea of kind of how we got the fraud, hey, let's go for authenticity, affordability, and memorabilia aspect. And then Liz, I'm going all over the place. Liz spoke about, I just want to clarify this up. The collectible itself is just kind of the gateway to get the reward that comes with it. So, for example, if I am at a Manchester United game, or we're in Boston, so if I'm at a Celtics game, right, and they played the Raptors the other day, and Tatum hit a game winner in overtime, in practice, the Celtics could upload that, courtside exclusive piece of content of him hitting the game winner onto only 10 fans' collectibles or tickets at the game. So there's that rarity aspect to it. Since that ownership is verified, they can then directly connect with the fans that hold that collectible and say, hey, congrats, you won the Tatum collectible. It comes with a Tatum signed jersey, meet and greet at the end of the season, free tickets to the next event. And what that leads us into is the collectible marketplace, right? If I'm a Raptors fan from the other night and I just happen to be in Boston, I got Tatum, scoring a game winner on my favorite team, I don't love that moment. So what I would love to, and I really definitely don't really feel like getting a signed Tatum jersey from that moment itself. So as a fan, what they would want to do is be able to sell and trade that collectible to maybe a Celtics fan that would kind of be able to redeem the reward and the interaction and the activation that comes with holding that collectible. But with the collectible marketplace, that's obviously going to come with volume of events and collectibles and partners that we have to be able to, have that PvP kind of trading on our platform. That was a lot of the things.
It sounds to me like, even you saying that sounds like a third option,
Yep.
which is trying to monetize my experience, and because I was there,
Yeah.
right? Again, like you have 2 here in your ask, but now you're talking about 3 things, and so in the spirit of pick a lane, it doesn't sound like you're as motivated by fraud as you are motivated by social engagement and capturing or creating value from that. I'll leave it at that. Zach, and then Jordan.
Yeah, just to play off that, I feel like with the logo update, you could maybe play with a lock and you could sort of visually communicate the fraud message. I think the fraud message should be beneath the surface. It's like in advertising technology, we're not talking about privacy at the forefront. It's just privacy is just table stakes. fraud should be table stakes. So like, don't lead with that. Engagements where you have all like, it gets really exciting. I really like the talk around like at the individual level. We're in an NIL like movement right now. So being able to go to individuals and help empower them to own their NIL, to monetize their NIL appropriately, to build their own brand in the world, to create experiences and adjacent experiences for individuals. I think that seems to be your lane. Your lane seems to be like helping, and at the individual level, like giving them power back, like at whatever state, and it's, you know, comedians too. Like it's artists, it's individuals who are show up at a venue to entertain folks and then want to create like these custom experiences that if you got the ticket to that one moment in time House of Genius event, if Ticketry was for this event tonight, 3 months from now, we all could get a special custom 1 of 20 drop of information that we only got because we were part of this experience. To me, that seems to be your lane.
+1, Jordan.
I would say
And Liz.
your lane's engagement. Like it's just tangible. Like when you talk about it, like you care about that more than anything else. Like this is hard. Like, and so you need to be able to defend your position and get really passionate about whatever you're doing, because it's not going to be easy. And so like your platform's engagement. And if you have to do the ticketing stuff to get in the arena, okay. But like I'd lock in on that direction because it's what you love.
Thank you. Liz.
Justin had his hand up first.
First, enormous +1 to Zach. And I think, you know, to that, piggybacking on that, you know, it seems like really ticketing for you is a vehicle to prove that someone was somewhere, and you don't have to sell a ticketing solution to do that. You know, you can do verification of a ticket, or using GPS or using phone to prove that someone was somewhere and kind of prove that exclusivity. And I can prove that I was at all these, you know, formative events in sports history or concert history or whatever. So I think you're able to remove a huge friction point in trying to make these venues or these teams be a gateway, go to the performers and the fans. Like NIL literally is pioneering this, like, you know, go through the talent. So.
Thank you. Liz.
I want to know your mission statement. I want to, and I especially want to know if it's longer than one sentence. But I feel like you would benefit a lot from just sitting down with whomever's on your team and going through that exercise of really defining and condensing down into one sentence what your business mission is. That'll really help you identify what your passion is. Certainly, I think it was Jordan who was speaking to passion earlier. If you're really passionate about fraud, great, but that doesn't come through here. So if you're really, really passionate about the social engagement, fantastic. That'll help you kind of figure out where your lane is. Certainly, I agree with everyone here who has said that you kind of have to pick something. It's not that you have to pick one thing forever. It's quality over quantity, especially in the beginning stages, because the more you try to diversify what you do early on, the more areas that you're going to, it's the jack of all trades, master of none thing. Get really, 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 really good at one thing, and then look at how you can branch out from there.
Thank you. Megan and then Ariel.
Something just came up around a lock. Zach, was that you?
Yeah.
For some reason, visually speaking, I love the idea of locking up fraud and then unlocking the moment at the same time. There's like a nice visual in marriage between those two things, so I just wanted to call it out.
Thank you. Ariel.
Yeah, Justin said something that sparked something for me. I think obviously like one of the things that's a bit difficult with like the ticketing thing is just growth. Like how do you grow really quickly? Like it's hard to get those contracts. It's difficult. You're going to need sales folks. That's like a lot of like pounding the pavement, so to speak. But something Justin said made me think you could actually like put some sort of like, you know, verified, I don't know, QR code, whatever, at 1,000 events tomorrow, right? And you could immediately like get in and become like, hey, I was at that Maggie Rogers concert, like here's like a feed, and everyone could be, you know, like want to have that like verification or whatever. You almost think about like Strava or Venmo, they all have these like feeds of just all the things that are happening there. And that would be like a super quick way to just grow a ton. And the more people that you get on the platform, the more interest you're going to get in using your ticketing platform, because you can say, hey, like Maggie Rogers concert, we had 2,000 people who verified, like, let us know when your next event is and we can help sell those tickets. So then even if you're not doing the ticketing yourself, you might get like marketing affiliate money, et cetera, et cetera. So like, I think there's a lot of ways to position yourself as long as you have that growth.
That's awesome. All right, Warren.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a bit building on that point, but I mean, I think having the vision of being the unified solution, that's fantastic, right? I mean, like you have to have a big vision as a founder, and you have to have a big vision that carries you 5-10 years into the future. But the question is, what are you going to execute on first in order to earn the right to execute on what comes next? And I think you're hearing, and I would agree with you're more passionate about the engagement, and the barriers to entry on engagement platform feel to me to be lower than barriers to entry to winning big in ticketing now. And if you can get to a place where you're the best platform for talent, college athletes can now make money on their athletics. That's new. That's a growing market. No one has kind of figured that out. Musicians, etc., struggle to engage their fan base effectively. You've got a population that wants to have that connection.
And a blue ocean opportunity.
And a blue ocean opportunity. And as a super fan, I would love to have a place to say, check it out. I've seen The Boss 47 times. And let me make
prove it.
Okay, I'm dating myself or whatever, But like that's a legit proof point, right? And I'm proud of that, and that's something that I want to share with people. And I think you do that, and you've got 100,000 people on the platform engaging, and now you walk into an event center and say, hey, the concert you had last week? I had 50,000 people at that concert who were using my engagement platform. You want me as your ticketing platform. And I think you'll get there. If you win at the engagement, you'll earn the right to win at ticketing.
Yeah, and I want to make sure I'm saying it right, and I'm going to inject a comment, but is it Tavon?
That's good, yeah.
Okay. There is a way, based on what Warren just said, like where you have an opportunity to like do quantum leaps of engagement just by the team or the artists that you engage with, and that you make their event more memorable. That's a massive opportunity for you to just onboard like in a night, right? Anyway, it's fun.
Building off of what was said over there, sorry, I don't see your name.
Ariel.
I'm going to give you credit. Ariel.
Yeah.
Just adding a little bit of like a tactical idea for how to...
Louder.
Just giving you some tactical ideas for how to drive traction on the engagement side of things. You could stand outside of the TD Garden or any big event and say, download our app for a chance to win $1,000 for the best snapshot of the game. All you got to do is download our app, take some pictures of this thing, and send it out.
That's good.
Make sure it's not a sweepstakes. You'll find a way to do that. But that's going to get 1,000 people on your app. And you could do that at 5 events a night for weeks. And that's how you get your initial groundswell. And then what you can do is you can take that groundswell of people that are in the app and you can start selling them tickets just as an affiliate.
That's great.
Okay. Jordan.
Yeah, just one extra comment there on engagement.
Jordan, louder.
Engagement overall. I think if we think about how we sell tickets today, is the currency that you provide to buy a ticket or a front row seat is money. And I think what you could add in is your actual, how much do you like that artist or that team? Are you a real fan? A lot of teams are starting to say, we're only selling tickets in playoff games to our fans. And like, could you validate that? I think Springsteen actually would block off the front row to only real fans and not people who could just afford the front row tickets. And so if you start to add in fan engagement as a currency that you pay for a ticket, that gets really interesting. And so you could start to say maybe your price varies based on how good of a fan you are, for each ticket as well, in some way.
Great.
Kristen.
Building off of that, I feel like that's where the collectibles could come in play, because then
A little louder, Kristen.
if the team wants you to only get super fans, that's where you can use the collectibles to be like, you have to have gone to 50 events or a certain number of events, and they'll have their collectibles from the past ones to be able to show, like, they've been to this many, and that's how you can show the team, instead of other companies that don't have the collectibles, why your platform's better than the other ones.
That's good. It makes it a two-way street, if you will, right? Like, that's good. Anyone else with a strong, burning thought?
I'll add one just on tech.
Don't
no
qualify
qualifying
yourself.
statements. There's a challenge. I think you mentioned Solano or something. Yeah. So there's going to be a challenge. I think there's a bit of a wait and see period on the technology you're gonna bet on, because you're making a bet yourself on the technology, and the market has not yet matured on that front. The verdict is kind of still out on, between smart contracts, IPFS, storage of anything in the NFT space. You see it rise, you see it fall. And it's not just a tech issue. We're also dealing with a political issue around securities. So I do think that there's a lot of consideration around, like, biding your time, finding a viability and not betting too big or going all in on that blockchain side of it. And I just throw that as a cautionary tale. Focus on the venture without marrying yourself to the underlying tech yet.
I'm gonna plus one Clay there, and also if you're going on this social engagement piece, you're tap dancing around. You can go to an event. We will help you archive it in a way that we can prove you were there, but also you're creating value by being there, and we're helping to encapsulate that value. Maybe it pays for the event. Maybe it pays for your next season ticket, for the next year, what have you. And to Kristen's point, that two-way street of being able to prove that you're a super fan, and that, as a fan, I can almost build my own brand, if you will, in a way that allows me to engage with my team even more. It's sort of like what's happening with the podcast world now, but you're doing it for, like, the people who were actually there. And I think there's something special about memorializing that you were there, and there's so many things you can spin off of that. But the social engagement piece, and maybe this is a little selfish on my part, but, like, I love the idea that we're all here and nobody's on their phone taking selfies and whatever. Like, I was here, and maybe you're the proof of that, so you can actually be where you are, but you're the proof on the other side, because we collect all of this, all the photos that were taken, and maybe you were in a photo somewhere, or, who knows how, but, like, you're the proof in the pudding. I was there, and there's something really powerful about I can validate that, and maybe even trade it with other people, and that's interesting. Anybody with another burning thought? Will, and then Ari.
Sorry, I wanted to double click on Toma, thinking about how the Grateful Dead built an entire network of people trading tapes they recorded. That's how they built their fan base without having to pay for any, marketing, let's call it. And so if you can create a place where superfans can then, like, oh, I can't make it to the show, who wants to go? But, oh, that person is like me, they're a super fan. I can give them this experience or something, like a way to trade on, you were there, to create your own, in a way, like, brand, so then you can start to trade with these people and almost build a sub-community around whomever the team is, the artist is, or whatever. So some form of trading platform, I think, would be seriously interesting. Because, like, we traded baseball cards as kids, right? Like, something like that.
Yeah, you're like creating value around fandom, right, or fanaticism.
Yeah.
Ari.
So a big plus one to Toma's point about there being a ton of opportunity, just dawned on me in sort of riffing, ton of opportunity with, like, facial recognition and all the in-house technology at a lot of these venues, to provide this experience of, like, how do we let you truly be here, and then you get this asset package afterwards of, like, here's all the shit you didn't have to take pictures of because you participated in our platform. So I love that. And then on the other side, I just think a cautionary tale for you to be aware of is, like, with all the different ideas that are coming out here, it strikes me that we're talking about like a few massively different like go-to-market strategies and business models, where in some cases you're B2B selling into these venues, and in some cases you're like grassroots guerrilla, social media platform startup, Uber flooding the streets with free taxis, Bird flooding the streets with free scooters. So just like that's something to keep in the back of your mind when we talk about picking a lane. There's some very different directions to go here.
Spot on. And last one, Ariel.
There's just two things I was thinking. One is it feels like you need to close.
Speak up.
It feels like you need to close the loop. So like if you had a bunch of people tag in at a concert, like invite the artist to then engage with their fans and actually like take that barrier away, because that would be so cool after the event to get a thank you note or something from the artist whose event you just attended. And the other thing is I feel like the more I listen to comments, the more I'm like, Tickettree doesn't really fit. Like it needs to be like, I was there, or like something like that, Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic, everyone. That was great. Next 5 minutes are yours. Clock starts now.
Okay, that's, of course, I was working and now I'm not. All right, well, while this is loading, I'm Clay. I'm with a company called Everyone Meets. This is a social scheduling app that is trying to solve a problem in our personal lives. So in professional life, you've got Calendly or whatever in your 9 to 5. Hey, here's my link. Book a time, book an appointment. That's great. What do you do in your personal life? You pretty much text, you call, you're like, hey, you want to go see a movie this weekend? Hey, you want to go to the beach and catch some waves? It's a very, very iterative process. Imagine sending your friend a Calendly link, being like, hey, Saturday, here's my window, book me. So this is an app, and screw the presentation. This is an app that's entirely focused on this very iterative cycle. So in this, if you can see it, imagine the app. You can denote like somebody is very important. Somebody is like VIP status, you really need them. So you can kind of rank the importance of people. Thanks so much. You can tell the app through the app. You can kind of coordinate between I want quantity or quality. So the whole premise of this is really just about I want to get together, right? I want to get together with friends or family. Take a House of Genius. There's a lot of coordination that happens here. How do you put it together, Toma? How do you put it together, Zach, Will, others, right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of word of mouth, human contact, touch points. So this isn't focused on forcing you to register. This isn't focused on yet another app you have to use. It's kind of a bring your own device, bring your own communication. Maybe it's WhatsApp, maybe it's SMS, maybe it's email. And it's very agnostic about helping you connect to anyone and coordinate for an event and say, okay, awesome. I need to be able to iterate on this. I need to be able to lock in a DTR.
What's your passcode?
It's a clarifying question.
2. Yeah, that is a clarifying question. That's great. Okay, so we're kind of somewhere in this space of like, you've seen Calendly, you've seen Meetup. Kind of like in this weird intersection of like, these are great free kind of apps of like Doodles over here, it does collaborative scheduling. Meetup is awesome for like you're regularly hosting an event, and you're regularly doing this thing, but it's just not really, on demand. So, and there's a lot of data here, to really think about, what are the weather conditions for this event? Am I weather dependent? Are we doing something outside? What is the availability of the venue? I'm not gonna go through all of this, but there's just a lot of metadata around this, a lot of considerations to make. And so, the app is really focused on collecting that data. And here's some great stats around, kind of our market fit. I don't want to dwell on revenue and revenue potential too much because that's not our problem to solve for. But here's some, some great numbers in terms of TAM for anyone that cares. It's just like millennial and younger generations are, there's a lot of solopreneurs, a lot of people that, yoga instructors and others that are really doing their thing. That it's like a lot more collaborative and it's a lot more ad hoc in terms of how you set these things up. So we know that we have a market fit. What we're trying to figure out, and I'm just going to kind of jump. Here's a little preview, by the way. It's not glorious, but preview the app. I'm going to jump right to the end into this problem statement. I really want to know how you guys would use this app. I want to know, like, does this, because we're trying to find a refined market fit. We know that there's a revenue potential, we know that this is something that we need, but yet those that have come before, and there's been dozens, have really failed to have stickiness or market fit. So everyone that's done this is missing something substantial. We need to figure out that secret sauce. We need to figure out that stickiness. So we need to know how you would use it in all the various ways that you would, maybe find stickiness with this, or say, yes, this goes into the category of not just novel, but utility. I need this app as a part of my routine. I need this app as a part of my life. So that's challenge number one. And then challenge number two, I think I'll hold off. We'll go around, and then I'll kind of pose the second question to that.
Fair enough. Clarifying questions, just hands up if you, Justin,
Quick
and
on-
then
on
Joshua.
The business model, where's the money come from?
The money comes from, so there is a cheap subscription model to this.
Okay.
It's more for organizations. So professional usage, if you were like regularly putting together events, House of Genius would have to be a paying customer, for example.
Okay.
Personal life, you get together with 15 people, we're not monetizing you, but hit a certain threshold, we are.
Okay, Joshua.
So just to check for understanding, the purpose of the app is to coordinate non-professional social gatherings, like we're having Thanksgiving at this house at this time, under these weather conditions, etc. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Megan.
What's the method for communication so far? Is it email, texting, social? How am I alerting the people that I'm available?
So in the app, you have the ability to join, register, log in, and join this, and natively see it, especially if you're the organizer of the event. But if you're grandma, you might just get a text message and it's like, hey, Clay texted, and in this thread. So you're giving some context to Clay is texting you through this app, and you can just respond directly.
And I can customize those based on my preferences.
Yeah,
Thanks.
exactly.
Liz.
Where are you in terms of release schedule? Are there people using it right now as like active clients? Are you still in beta?
Going to market. So MVP is done, but we haven't launched. So.
Okay. All right, that's the last, one more, and then we're gonna do first thoughts.
How does it, if you had to draw a line between this and Evite, like I have the Evite app, if I want 10 people to come to my house, or 20 people to come to my house, I have all their context in there. I pick an Evite template and I just press send. It takes me like 7 minutes. How's this different?
Yeah, so an Evite it's a great question. There's been a lot of the Evite systems. They're very novel. They're very like one-off, and they're usually very cutesy. Utility-wise, they are not iterative. So the problem that we see with an Evite is me as the coordinator, it's if I know I'm doing Saturday at 2 o'clock for Thanksgiving, cool. I could broadcast to the world that I'm doing Saturday at 2 o'clock. What if I care about the highest number of participants, the highest number of people that can show up, or my VIPs? I can't do that with any Evite system right now because I need that feedback to make my decision for a date, time, and location.
Okay.
One more.
Well,
We couldn't hear the name of the app.
Oh, everyone me.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So presumptive ask, everyone, like we've already downloaded the app and we're going to use it, so appreciate that. We're going to start this direction. You're going to go first as opposed to last, so that way you get all the plus ones instead of Zach.
Nice. I
All
might,
right?
I might actually be your target customer.
All right. Dive in.
Am I supposed to answer his question or give him my thoughts?
Yes, and.
Yes, and.
Yes, and.
I'm your target customer. I am super busy and I want to see my friends and I don't have the opportunity to coordinate. One thing that I'd love for this app to be able to do is, let's say, for example, I want to go see Wicked. I want to invite my girlfriends on a Monday night and I want to send it out to them and say who can be there. Or if Monday doesn't work, is a Tuesday an option as well? So one thing that I would ask is that, can the consumer or the user set multiple logistical times that people can choose from? So it's not just one date and time like an Evite, but here's my top 3 slots that are open to do this particular activity. Who can be there when? That'd be cool.
Okay, let's not just do feature requests.
Sorry.
All right.
Just something to think about.
Warren.
Yeah, I mean, the first things that came to my mind, group of ski buddies that every year we do an annual trip, and trying to corral the group together to figure out what weekend are we, what week are we going to do, where are we going to go. These are all the kind of questions that go back and forth, and then people go silent, and you lose the email chain or whatever else. And so, could definitely see it in that context, or even just you're hosting a dinner party for neighbors, and it's like, figuring out a night that that's going to work for folks. So those are the couple that come to mind for me. I think for me the key would be recipients don't need to be in the app in order to engage. I think you said that's possible, but if this is only going to work if I know that the other people that I'm sending to already have the app installed, I think it just the getting up off the ground piece just feels hard.
Fair enough, Gina.
Just curious, I guess my question is, will the app interface with anything else?
He can't answer it.
But that's what I'm
your
thinking.
feedback.
I don't even know how to rephrase that.
Yeah.
Just a curiosity.
The idea is
That's
that the question is important.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's, I got nothing else.
Tima.
The hardest problem that my wife and I have around this.
Speak up.
The hardest problem that my wife and I have around this is we have too many people that we want to spend quality time with. We have too many things we could do, and there are too many constraints on everyone's time. So you send out like 2 or 3 text messages to friends, and they're like, "No, sorry, we're booked up for like 3 months." And then, I'm like, "All right, I already did it. You do it, honey." And then she tries it, and then every now and again we get lucky, and sometimes people text us, but it always feels like it's kind of all over the place. So now with generative AI, I would say that, I'm taking your thought. Yeah. I would say that it's pretty easy to figure out who my most important MVP people are in my life. It's pretty easy to generate all the ideas of things that we might want to do with those people. So it really should just be telling me, hey, this weekend I'm gonna prep everything for you to reach out to these 5 people for these 10 different types of things, and I'm gonna come back to you with the results.
Interesting. Thanks. Ari.
Yeah, I mean, mostly
You
a
gotta
plus
hold
one
it on
there.
in,
I
so.
think this is obviously a huge problem. It's like I have the same exact issue. I think I'm happy because it's been burned in my ears so many times that I didn't hear you say Gen AI, but it's also like this is the thing that I can't imagine being solved with anything else. Like a tools-based solution for this feels like it's old already, and I think that to your point about market fit and who your audience is, the types of events that are like the ski trip or the monthly dinner, those have like a long enough tail to organize that people are willing to grind a little with an existing platform and respond to the doodle or whatever to get that done, or just let the email chain go dead like I do. But the really kind of thing that there is no solution for is the truly interpersonal social weekend plans or like your 3 buddies, and that has Gen AI written all over it. Like that should just be, I want to do this, go make it happen.
Thank you. Michelle.
So +1 to both of you, because what I thought of was like, what's the biggest fight that couples have, for example? Even, it's like, where are we going tonight? Where the hell are we going for dinner? And it's just like, if this app could actually be like, hey, you're going out with Sarah tonight. This is the places that she likes to eat. Recommend that. And then that invitation already has the recommendations. Whew.
Sign me up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Like when you say
Zibit. George.
I'm going to +1 to Ari. For me, it'd be great if somebody else or a tool got to be the one that was a pain in the ass follow up, so that I didn't have to be the one to be the pain in the ass that's always following up. It hit me yesterday that I haven't told my cousin if I'm coming for Thanksgiving or not, and she's probably waiting to find out. And so there's that. But I think what Ari said really was spot on for me.
Thank you, Steph.
Yeah, I'd agree with the following up. I'm terrible at texting, so I mean anything
No
that
disqualifying statements.
that I'm terrible at texting.
It's a joke.
I was like, I'm so confused. But also, I mean, yeah, I think the perfect solution would be it's when you take a straw poll or doodle and then, but also have it integrate with your work calendar, so that then it also because what I don't
is like when you send out a doodle and then you have like the automated person that follows up on like, hey, you didn't respond, because maybe that person just doesn't respond. But then you have your work calendar that has changed, but it doesn't automate in the doodle. So then you're like, well, I can't do those days anymore. And it's just like, it becomes a mess. So hopefully that made sense.
Thank you, Steph. William.
I'll actually plus one to that. It seems like there's a possibility to
Speak up.
It seems like there's a possibility for this to become an efficiency tool of all the existing apps, and to offer constructive criticism, I come to, do I need another app when there's enough communication apps and scheduling apps? But to Steph's point, if you could get them to talk to each other, maybe that could build efficiency and it's not a burden.
Thank you. Jordan.
Plus one to Tavon and Ari on the. It feels like every tool in the space is just an extra conversation that's inefficient, and it should just be something that reaches in, grabs the data, and makes choices for me. And I think a lot of this you start to shake out, like who wants to be the alpha that is planning everything, and who just wants to listen and allow the personalities to exist in that habitat in different ways. And so like that solution will exist in like 5 years, and I don't see why you can't build it.
Thank you, Elijah.
Yeah, I would say plus one to Devon and Ari over there. If you can integrate AI as much as possible, I think cool. I think if one of my friends sent me like a Calendly link, I probably wouldn't answer them. But so if you could keep it as informal as possible, that would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, so my first thoughts are like my long distance friends and how do we come up with something that we can all agree on without having a giant text thread that if one person isn't attending, they don't have all the text threads coming through because that's just annoying. And then you leave the group and then you don't even go. So I feel like the other thing is, like a lot of people said, not having the same app or not having to get another app is great, but also if you can partner it with Zoom or have like a voting thing. So, you know, if I pose the question of, oh, what book do we want to read for a book club, we can all vote that way and integrate that into it, and obviously use AI for that. So.
Thank you, Aaron.
I would plus to George, I think. And I would also build on it. I'm probably the antisocial friend that's going to say no or not answer. So maybe like a feature that's like a heat map that says like, probably don't ask Aaron because he's not going to show up. A feature for me that says, Zach has asked me 3 times this month and I've said no, maybe I should say yes this time. Or he thinks like something like that, because this is how I probably would use it.
Wow. Kristen.
Actually, something I was going to touch upon is I love the idea of the app and getting to talk to people, but one of the things that I would be worried about is with the AI, if it shows you when you're available, and if it's someone I don't want to see every week, and it's like, oh, but you are available, your calendar shows that. Like thinking about, is there a way to kind of, not control, but hide your calendar a little bit from certain people who you might just want to see like the once or twice a year.
This is our hermit section over here. Thank you, Justin.
So I think if you talk to a lot of old, wise people, they'll tell you that the most important things in life aren't the things, but the people. And so when Clay talked about it's for personal relationships, I immediately thought, you know, personal relationships, everybody will tell you they're super important, and we probably let them deteriorate the most. I know I do that. I think the value of my time has gone up exponentially with the scarcity, and it gets more and more scarce as I get more busy and family and everything. And it's all the more important to try to use that really wisely. The idea
it comes with the gray whiskers that you.
These are not blonde, right? So I think, you know, I kind of immediately started thinking not just about something that would be a communication medium like a meetup, but more like reminding you to tend your garden of your personal relationships and almost keeping track and gamifying it a little bit, or reminding you a little bit to try to, probably gamifying is the wrong word, but like tend your garden a little bit and try to grow your relationships back, because that's probably the most important thing.
Thanks, Liz.
I know it was said a couple of times, but I am your ideal client because I have a couple of Dungeons and Dragons groups, and we are all working professionals. Some of us have young families, and if you know the kind of ridiculous hoops you have to jump through in order to get a D&D group together every couple of weeks as an adult, it's horrendous. And When Is Good and Doodle Poll and all of those just aren't doing it. And I think one of the biggest reasons for that is plus one to what Ari was saying about the incorporating AI, and I believe it was George and Steph, a couple of people had mentioned the idea of like having it automated for reminders and reach outs and things like that, or even having like some sort of stat that says like how many times you've ignored a text or something like that, will go a really long way towards keeping you out of like the comparison between you and the competition. But more than an app, I think what I would want to see is like a widget that incorporates with Roll20, Discord, whatever it is, where people are getting together, not necessarily the When Is Good app or the Doodle Poll or whatever it is. The other thing I want to talk about is branding. Aside from the fact that I couldn't really hear you, when I did hear what it was called, I immediately thought, oh, I'm going to get this mixed up with a whole bunch of stuff, just because the words used within the brand are really common. So obviously you don't want it to be like super esoteric, but since you're still like right before bringing it to market, you've got a lot of flexibility around your branding. Put a lot of thought into it, because whether or not people remember that you're the one that they went to in order to find this cool thing that is working is going to go a really long way towards people using you again.
Thank you. Joshua.
So yeah, just a plus one, William and the gentleman to the right of Toma, their points, just to synthesize them. Anything you can do to integrate all the pre-existing scheduling softwares without everyone needing the app. So if I want to coordinate the event, I'm the only one that needs the app. And then also something to think about would be automated pokes. So if someone doesn't get back to you, like Aaron was saying, it sends them an automated message so I don't have to remember everyone who hasn't responded. But if nothing else, I'll just validate the market demand for anything that reduces the friction for non-professional social interaction would be huge. Something I would definitely use in my life consistently.
Thank you. Ariel.
Parenting, like play dates, because you have not just your schedule, you have like all these little kids' schedules and the nanny and when like who's watching them and just organizing that. Like I literally have been going back and forth for 2 months with somebody trying to set up a play date, and it's just so dumb how hard it is.
Thank you. Iris.
Well, first I want to plus one everyone who has gone so far and come out with these awesome ideas. But specifically, I want to plus one Steph for her ideas about the work and the personal calendars being integrated. I feel like that's a really useful concept that can play really well. I love the idea of the collaborative effort to find a time that works for everyone within a group. So if everybody's trying to come up with a time that works well for everybody, it's going to work pretty effectively. I do have a concern for how much this specifically stands out against all of the other apps that are out there for time management and scheduling, because I feel like a lot of people who really want to find a time that works for everybody are willing to jump through the hoops necessary to do so, whether that's a really complicated iMessage or an Evite or whatever it may be. I know that I personally was willing to go through hell and high water to organize a group get-together, so that's a little bit of a concern for me. But overall, I think that what you could do really well is make this more casual than the Evite and the other platforms that kind of relate to that. As in, like, when I get an Evite, I'm like, oh, this is an event, but maybe you can play it off as like, oh, this is a hangout or a little get-together. That might be a really good differentiating factor.
Thank you. Zach?
Kill it. This is actually fun to go last. So +1, Tivon, Ari, and Michelle, prescriptive Gen AI all day, and then some other people have double clicked on that. George, +1, and don't forget to get back to your cousin about Thanksgiving. +1, Will and Steph. The horizontal like cross app play, which others are picking up on too. Like I think that's really interesting. Kara, actually thought it was interesting when you brought up long distance friends because I was thinking about that use case a little bit and like building off that. Like some of the ideas I'll get into in a second are around like just creating more connectivity to your long distance friends to increase the likelihood of those actual destination trips happening. I think is what that could be a special purpose of this app. +1, Ariel. Let's get a play date going together soon. I mean, you drive right by my house. Anyways, so I'd love to drip. So this is what I love. Like, and folks have hit on this. Scheduling's kind of the commodity here. If you can find a way to create like a web, like mobile app browser-based experience, so there isn't that app friction. I think originally Warren hit on that. That'd be huge. There have been apps that have come along. Bandwagon was way ahead of his time, like early 2010s. But like to allow you to create a feed of information. So like for the long distance friends example, I have friends that are Celtics fans all over the country, and some that are in Boston. But like if we can sort of like custom curate a feed of information from top beat reporters we like. Ticket sales happening at Celtics games around the country, and just like and have like more of a sort of proactive feed of information and we can chat around it. We're like engaging around this very specialized topic that we all care about with an intention of going to a Celtics game and let's go to a game in Philly this year. Let's go chirp the Sixers fans. I think that could be really interesting. So built-in messaging and sort of like curated feeds. I really like the idea of Justin's words, like help tend your garden. Like that resonates with me. And to Liz's point, really got to rethink the name, like stitch. You know, like you're keeping people stitched or connected. You know, so like playing with that connectivity fabric, weave. Like you're weaving, you're keeping people like woven tightly together. So I think there's actually a lot of fun to have with the brand, and completely agree with Liz's points on that.
Thank you. And technically, I'm going last.
You gotta do a better job than me.
So I'm gonna take a sort of hyper big picture thesis approach to this feedback. Okay, you're playing around with what is called Dunbar's number. If you're familiar with that, I think it's like you can only have 147 legitimate relationships. I don't care how many people you're connected to on Facebook and whatever, but legitimate relationships. And they're concentric. You know, you have your family, you have your tight friends, you've got your, you know, there's concentric circles, and you know, like your tightest, they love you, they know all your shit, and they love you, right? And so they get your highest time priority, right? Like you're sort of +1ing my opening statement, which is time is your most valuable commodity. And if there was ever a low-hanging fruit for AI to be applied to, it's in time management on our behalf, right? And how do we, you know, large language model, like share how we feel and what we value for our own time management. And so you're flirting with what could be one of the first, like, forget sharing 20 pictures on Linza and getting an AI picture of yourself looking like a comic book hero. Like, this is like the real low-hanging fruit value of AI. And if you can make it very easy to, and maybe even just plug my Facebook and my LinkedIn, and it's the AI figures out what my Dunbar concentric circle is, then it suddenly sets my schedule around how important these people are to me, or how important work is to me versus personal, you know, because everyone can move that needle however they choose. But this is the early win for AI, and the branding question is right. It needs to be something that is forgettable, but it's always there. And I think the huge win for like how would I use the app is how hard is it to put my Dunbar circle and my value system into it and then let go, and now I have my personal assistant managing my calendar regardless of platforms and all the technology and all that stuff. How do I make the most of my time without interrupting and affecting everyone else's time and their value systems? And if you solve that, AI's first huge win. And I think that's a big opportunity. Okay, so that's first thoughts. So anything you want to address, and then it's open, just, signal that you've got something to say.
I'll add 2 for 1, which is from a rebrand standpoint, we should call this Video AI, because I think we can all agree Zach is like the fucking, master at it. He's like, you're gonna call your cousin, and you're gonna do the thing, and we're gonna do a play thing,
We should call it Zach.
So there's something there. Anyways, there's just a couple things real quick. I would address that we do have multiple GTL options where we started there. Like, so daytime location, it is more like a poll, and that is built into the app. So you could make any number of options. You can throw them into the future. You can make it more acute and around, like this week or whatever it is. So we do have that. Agree with all of that. We actually are staying away from the AI conversation because it's just such a saturated and like polarizing term now, and it feels like everyone's talking about it. And so when you're like actually an AI expert, you kind of tend, well, that's a qualifying statement. Anyways, we're staying away from AI, not in terms of tech. We're staying away from it just in terms of brand and brand positioning. But agree with every single person's point about generative AI. Like, this is the opportunity, this is the market where you're like, wow, this thing changed my life. Like ChatGPT is like writing my contracts now. That's a win. If it could manage my schedule too, that's a win. And so we agree. But we have to find our place in the market. We have to get a lot of metadata because good AI is only as good as its data. And that data is not pretty and it's not perfect. So, connecting your LinkedIn, connecting your whatever, you're pulling in stuff that could make this AI hallucinate very, very easily. And now you're getting, breakfast with your friend at 3 a.m. So it's a little weird. Integrations, I think we got like 3+1s on that one. Totally agree. We're going to be an integration platform. We don't want to be, to some extent, that's why we made the brand kind of forgettable, right? Like, I do agree. I think the brand needs some work. I heard that a few times. And we also want to be that like thing you do kind of forget about in a weird way. Because you really want to be in the utility side, not the novelty side. And that's looking at like what's come before in market. So it's really important that we do not become another social network. That's how everyone else has tried to do like social scheduling. And it is social, it's inherently social, but it needs to be as utility as a calculator. It needs to be as integral to your daily life as, any number of things that you just load without thinking about it. So those are some of the thoughts there. And I think that's my counterpoints to everything.
Warren. All right, it's wide open now, everyone. So
just listening to the feedback made me think about 2 things. So one, thinking like in terms of differentiating yourself from from the rest of the competition, thinking beyond we're about scheduling and you're about the pre and the post. And so pre, we heard a little bit about help me actually think of, hey, like this is a moment when I can schedule for and who I might be scheduling with and where we might be going. Like shared problem. I want to meet up with people. I don't even know what to do though, and so like why do I not even think of it? Because I don't have a good idea. If my app is popping up and saying, "Hey, you got nothing on your calendar this Friday night, and there's some great music playing down the street," why don't you text Zach and see if he's available? Let's go. You solve not just the figuring out the when, but you solve the fact that something should happen. So you're making more stuff happen, not just making it happen easier. And then the final point is the post is what happens after you have a great night with your crew is people want to share pictures, they want to do whatever else. I think down the road, come back to focus. I wouldn't do this early, but there's opportunity to be the thing that actually that closes the door on the event as well.
They want to share collectible NFTs.
There you go. But like I said, farther down the road, but I think thinking about it as you're not just about making scheduling better, you're about making more things happen, making them happen more efficiently, and making them more memorable.
Well,
build on what Warren's saying, as the room went around, I was imagining functionally it's almost like a group input to a GPT, and or you could challenge people, right? Be like, hey, Friday night, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Toss out your thoughts, and from that language model, it could develop suggestions and a voting option, and then a scheduling option when you free, and just almost making like the scheduling of the event fun somehow. I don't know, like through suggestions and getting suggested.
Maybe through collectibles like Ticket Tree.
What's that?
Maybe through collectibles like Ticket Tree, where you got real life experience. We'll talk.
Yeah, but something that like streamlining the actual planning process on boards.
Zach and then Ariel, and then Iris.
I think that's great. Like that's kind of what I'm envisioning. You put it super well. Like that's it. Like, and this is a breakthrough for AI. It's like helping like people collectively like group prompting. It's group prompting. It's super interesting. Like it's collectively and continuously refining like a group prompt over time to yield valuable outputs. In this case, being like being connected to each other and like getting together in person. I think that's super compelling. I love that.
Ariel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think like for me, one thing that would be like really differentiating is just like from a UI perspective, having it be like super integrated natively into like your mobile iOS, where you can just push like plus, everyone meets, and like send one after everyone's like, yeah, we do want to do that. And I don't know, maybe you can say like turn on suggestions, turn off suggestions, but I feel like the problem for me isn't like the functionality, it's that like I don't want to have to like go and use a web doodle and then like copy and paste it over into like, you know, my text. Like it's just, it really is like a UI thing more than anything else.
Interesting. Iris.
Yeah, all really good ideas. I'm going to pivot a little
Speak up.
bit. I think that you're right on top of it, but I think it's really important to focus on staying social and focusing on that aspect without being too robotic or computerized or disconnected. I feel like being social is such like a warm, fuzzy feeling that you should really focus on not making it cold or, like I said, robotic or disconnected. I think that would be really important.
Do you mean like something that like you interact with, like you can talk to, versus I gotta type in the conditions?
I think I'm more speaking on like a user interface level.
Yeah,
like she
on
was
a
kind of
branding
saying.
level.
It gotta be more
Right,
casual,
yeah.
not like Calendly.
Yeah, not too formal. Yeah.
Aaron.
Yeah, but even building what you're saying, if I could talk to, like I said, I'm more likely to not use it. But if I could talk to it and I didn't have to do a lot, like the thing I hate about Outlook sometimes is there's too many clicks. Even though it's probably not that many clicks, but I'm inherently lazy sometimes, so it's like a lot to ask in my head. But if I could just do it like vocally and it would just do the rest of it for me, like that would be, I would jump in probably.
That's like the full-on Seinfeld where they're like shake it and they're like, oh, this is so hard, you know, shake. Yeah, that's perfect. Car.
To play off all of that, I feel like even I'm going back to the long distance friends thing. So like, let's just say you want to plan a book club, then you have to vote on the book, and then you have to go to Google Docs to then do this, to then share it with them. And I love the point that Liz said, like a widget, and to add that there, and to then now it helped me plan it. Now everyone's looking at you on Zoom. Maybe there can be prompts of like, okay, so now here's a question for the book that you guys read this month, right? So then it would prompt you more about that during it as well.
It sounds like, you know, like a Siri that works and understands you is what everyone's asking for. But all right, Elijah.
Yeah, just like piggyback on this. I know you mentioned you guys were like,
Speak up.
I know you mentioned you were trying to plug into WhatsApp, iMessage, things like that. I think it's like a AI plug and play type of deal. I was wondering if, I don't know, my tech knowledge, or sorry, but if you could have like the organizer almost invite the kind of kid, the SEA, whatever, into the whatever kind of channel they're talking, whether it's WhatsApp, Telegram, iMessage, or whatever, and then I'm not sure if this is feasible, but then have your tech kind of scrape the existing chat to go into the LLM to be able to help that the AI data comes from that one specific chat so your kind of data is more narrow and niche down to the exact kind of group you're speaking.
Okay, I'm going to inject one thing, but it's going to be Ari, Sivan, and then Liz. You're tap dancing around the thing that we all share in common, which is how do we manage and maximize our time? And I think there's, at least as far as I can tell, there's a synergy of opportunity, and please somebody solve this. However, on the data side, there's no standardization. There's no, the way that everyone views their time, the way they value it, and they value their relationships and their core values. I mean, there's an opportunity to create a standardization for that would require a beautifully sophisticated vernacular that touches everybody in just the right way about how they, because everyone feels the same, but they use different words for it. And when it comes to time, it's muddy waters, but it's muddy waters that everyone is in, whether they realize it or not. And so I'm appreciating your challenge. Ari.
Yeah, and I appreciate the challenge too. I don't know I don't know if I share your optimism that like world that actually exists. So there is something that is like elegantly structured. That
I'm in fantasy land, man. That's great.
That's great. I think one thing that comes to mind here is it strikes me you have two different concepts at play. So one is a tool that takes in data. This is your LLM that like understands who you are, what your demands are on your time, your schedule, and your et cetera. And then you have like an external facing bot. And those, I don't see those as necessarily mutually tied to one another. I think you can create the bot piece as a tool that just serves as your proxy in scheduling with other people, and you just deploy it so that everyone here, I think I've heard a bunch of people say like, yeah, the thing I don't want to do is cut and paste and send the text and remember to do it. So if you can just deploy the tool that goes out and talks to your friends and gets them, if they want to do it, or they can, maybe they're users eventually and they send their bot out to do it. So all you have to worry about is inputting your own parameters on the back end, and that doesn't have to be an LLM. That can be a few inputs, and that's a product that you can build and sell versus like actually solving this, like how do we take in the totality of like who I am so that I can create an assistant that truly manages my like life and schedule. That's a great like vision eventually, but I think there's some wins along the way.
Yeah. Fair enough. Sivan.
+1 to Elijah on deploying the iMessage app and having it scrape the conversation and say, oh, it looks like you're looking for Airbnbs in, the West Indies or whatever. And then the second thing is one challenge that you might face with having the app reach out to friends is you can't co-opt cell phone numbers the same way you can email. So it would have to send from a separate short code or something. So you'd have to create some sort of like channel that is from your app, and people kind of get used to getting messages from that number.
Interesting. You're almost talking about like a new, like there's email, there's text, and then there's this, right?
I think it should be text, but it should be its own number. The same way I get text message from CVS and they all.
Yeah. Liz.
I want a +1 to Ari, and then the gentleman who just spoke, I don't. +1 to Ari, and then the gentleman who just spoke, I don't know his name.
Sivan.
Sorry. Don't be you can't be everything to everyone and still be a successful business. Maybe someday, but especially as you're building, pick the thing. I really liked what Ari was saying in terms of the deliverance of it as opposed to the actual scheduling solution, and be really good at that. And then I do think that privacy needs to be considered because not everyone, especially not everyone in a group text, is going to be okay with something coming in and scraping a conversation. So I think regardless of what you decide to do, at least give like that aspect of the discussion enough respect so that at least you considered it.
You know what, and Jordan, you're going to be next, but I want to inject this. I'm going to +1 myself here. So the Dunbar number, what I'm hearing is your proof of concept is that inner circle, and if you can prove that you nail the inner circle, and that's friends and family, and sometimes we have family we choose and family we're born into, but if you can prove it in that space, then it's effortless to expand it from there, right? So like nail the inner circle, the 4 or 5 relationships, and we master your engagement and time with the 4 or 5 people you care about most, and I will give you the rest of my schedule and just tell me where to go. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Just for some last feedback, like give you guys another.
You got 5 minutes, so.
Sub challenge to this. Do you trust? I mean, so I love that everyone's leaning into AI. That was our theory, that we should be leaning into AI, voice controls. I mean, it's great validation to where our V2 roadmap is. Here's some of my personal fears. What if you don't trust your AI? What if it hallucinates? What if it's just AI to AI?
Then you should be doing your own.
It's doing the thing for you.
Do your own AI.
But what if it starts like, do you really trust it with your schedule? Or are you going to listen to it?
Yeah.
If it locks in something Saturday at 2:00, are you the human going to just like listen to that and say, oh, that's the optimized time, that's the most convenient,
I raised my hand. I'm like, hell yeah! Like, yes, please.
I say
please.
No. Yeah, so I say no, but also who cares, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You have to build for that, because you have to build for your AI to keep pace with all the other ones that are going to be able to do that anyway. But also, in the meantime, that's where you build the deployable interface that doesn't lock it in for you, but it aggregates and it collects and then synthesizes, and then you make that final decision based on what it has gathered.
So do you trust the AI? No, but we have to.
Yeah.
No, it's fair. George,
can I go like show of hands like on that, like that one, and then we get like a yes explicitly and
No, Jordan.
Okay.
George, and Warren.
Yeah, so as for your question, yes, I currently do. Like I trust AI, and I think it's when you aim big for something like this where there's a lot of trust, it's just you can't miss. Like if you show up at 2 and no one's there, like you're out. And so there's plenty of apps like that, and this isn't any different from that. But how I look at the generative AI picture, we're starting to be able to see like how a master app like this could work, and how it could be essentially Zach on your phone, which would be perfect. Like if you just added Zach to every group chat, like we'd be fine. We wouldn't need a solution. Zach on demand. It's a lot of really complicated problems, and at the end of the day, like to listen to everything like that's happening on a device, there's maybe 6 companies in the world that can actually build that, and you're never going to be one of them. And that's just a fact. You have to be on device to get that kind of transparency, unless there's crazy changes. And so I'd start to look at like what are the problems and where can you really be special? Is it building the audience? Is it carving out a niche? And where can you actually win? Because a lot of this isn't really achievable, where we can just digest all of this disparate data and like maybe you can turn it into a universal language and do all this. You can't get the visibility to do that until you get integrations with every single thing, which is just not going to happen. And so it's a really, really complicated problem. And so I'd look at like how can I break that into smaller problems and choose the one that I can be special at, and then carve out a niche early on in this, because this is going to be a thing that exists in 5 years. And like, how were you a part of the solution? And I think being the solution might not be achievable.
Okay, and remember, somebody eventually Sir Edmund Hillary eventually climbed Everest, right? Like, so it can be done. It was Ari, then Warren, or George. Sorry, George.
Oh, I was just vehemently saying no when you said yes. I'm stuck on Dunbar's garden, and I just think that there seems to me that I know that this is supposed to not be what I think about at work, but there seems to be a CRM components to this, to like having a portfolio and what you're responsible for doing, and the families and the friends that you're supposed to be responsible for prioritizing, that is really resonating with me. But I guess what I'm troubled by is you said that there's been dozens that have tried before, and you weren't leading with the solution that they didn't have. You were saying like, what didn't they have? And so I don't want you to be number 13.
Fair enough. Warren.
Yeah, no, I was just struck by, to your question, 5 years ago in the business context, if you'd asked for raise your hands if you're comfortable, putting your video on a video call, you would have had like 10% of the room raise their hands. Raise your hands if you're comfortable closing a deal, making an investment on, purely off of that kind of interaction, would have been 0. 2 to 3 years ago, if you'd said, raise your hand if you're comfortable having a listener on your video calls that's recording the entire call and transcribing the entire call, you would have gotten like maybe 20% of the room. Every single business call that I'm on now, we're competing for how many listeners are listening on that call, and it's super helpful and super effective for me to actually be able to record, share, and everything else. So I think people are getting comfortable with AI, and that's not even AI, that's just recording, right? But with something in the room, and so the concept of, I'm adding another number to our message thread, and its name is Zach, right? Because we're just going to roll with that.
Yes.
And people are like, "Who's this Zach guy?" Oh, don't worry about Zach.
Just name your company Zach, and that's all you gotta do.
He just helps me make it all happen. And you know what? I actually think the burden of failure here is actually really low. So like Zach throws up, "Yo, let's meet up at 2:00 in the morning on Wednesday." Everyone's like,
No.
Fucking Zach again, I think you can totally if it's always wrong, yeah, you're gonna fail, right?
You plus 10 to that.
So I think you're actually operating in a low stakes space where
high yield.
Low stakes in terms of errors.
I think that was the alarm to close out, right?
Yeah. So but we got 3 people I want to hear from, or you want to hear from.
Yeah.
Sorry, not me. But Justin, Kristen, and Aaron, do you want to bring it home?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw 3 hands.
I'll do it now.
Okay, but Justin, Kristen, Aaron, and we're good.
So big +1 to Liz and Jordan. You kind of talked about picking the problem that you want to solve. +1, Tomo. I'm going to be researching Dunbar's number tonight. Elegantly explained it. +1, George. You talked about kind of CRM, but I think personal, PRM, personal relationship manager, not customers. I would just finish, Clay, pick the problem that you want to solve. So are you maximizing time, or are you trying to maximize the most important relationships where time is a constraint?
Good question.
Thank you, Kristen.
Kind of going back to what Ari said with your question about...
Speak up, Kristen. I'm sorry.
With your question about AI, I wouldn't want it to schedule for me, because it's kind of one of those things where AI is considered something that's a great tool to have to help you, but it's not necessarily doing everything, so I still want that final approval. And if you do find in your research that a lot of people want that, maybe that's a feature that you have where they can do, AI automatically schedules it for me. But I think for a lot of people, no matter if your calendar's open or not, you want that final say of, I really don't want to do that day, even if it's open. So still having that ability to say yes or no at the very end of the scheduling process, I would rather it be a suggestive tool.
Okay. Aaron?
No, I was just going to answer the question when you were asking if I trusted AI. Like, I was working with closed caption this week and realized that the AI can only interpret speech as well as the speaker. So it's like, I don't trust the person, so I can't fault the AI for that. So it's like, as I'm going back in and also trying to struggle to understand what somebody is saying to correct the captions, it's like, it's not AI's fault, it's just as much the human error as it is the computer error.
Okay, I'm going to put a bow on this. So there, and I can't remember the book, and I usually pride myself on remembering the book and the author, but it's about time personalities, and there's a spectrum of your relationship with time, and either you're spontaneous or you're a planner, right? And the planner can enjoy today, if tomorrow isn't fully laid out and they know where they're going to be and what, right? And then the spontaneous person can't enjoy today if tomorrow's booked, right? The spontaneous person wants the fluidity that I think Kristen's speaking to, along with some privacy that you were talking about. Like, I don't want anyone to know that I'm actually dissing them because I just need some me time, right? But like that, the tool accommodates both personalities and behaves and honors where you are on that spectrum, because we all have a little bit of both in us. Like, I'm hyper, not to qualify myself, but I'm hyper spontaneous. Like, if tomorrow's booked, today sucks, right? And you know, if tomorrow's free, I'm happy. I'm just happy, right? And so if the tool can accommodate my relationship to time, that will make it feel intuitive and make me want a little bit more. I gotta give me some more of that. And I'll put a bow on that, all right? 5 minutes on the clock, go.
Hello everyone, my name is William. I'm one of the co-founders of a platform called Elevate. Elevate connects skilled tradespeople to top employers through labor procurement and workforce management. So what's the problem that we're solving for? Doesn't look like a lot of tradespeople in the room, so let's do a little education real quick. The industry is grappling with a generational gap. Just a statistic, there's about a surplus of 700,000 jobs in the skilled trades right now that people haven't been able to fulfill or get people into those jobs. 95% of the industry reports a gap in a new tradesman entering the market. That's to say, when one person retires, nobody's coming in. Construction managers, 35% of their time is lost just in project management, things like pre-construction, assigning people to tasks, building teams, and getting those teams to the right place at the right time. Tradesmen, 91% of contractors report challenges in getting hired. General contractors, 65% report difficulties matching a specific skill set to the job that they have. They need somebody certified in XYZ, they need to meet OSHA specifications, and they need to be on time and licensed and in the right place at the right time. So why is that? There's fragmented networks right now. So there's a disjointed approach in how people are trying to get people aware of the job, or even people trying to make themselves aware of the jobs there, or a skilled tradesperson making a hiring body where they even exist. Inadequate vetting, there's very little that goes into actually confirming, hey, does this person have a driver's license that's current? Do they potentially have a DUI? Are they actually OSHA certified, right? We've heard that people send out 10 job offers, one guy shows up, half the time he's sober. Industry-specific resumes, there's nothing in terms of building a persona so that people know what I'm actually certified in, know what I can actually do, what my trade really is, and what I'm best at. Review systems. We're kind of thinking about this as like the Airbnb, bilateral review systems. There's no transparency. There's no way to build, like, say, I've done this many years of experience and I have this resume. We've discovered that most tradespeople don't even have resumes, and they most assuredly don't have LinkedIn accounts, right? So the tools that exist, they're not meeting those tradespeople and those construction management firms in a similar place. There's no intersection. And then next generation tech expectations. One of the things that people that were earlier defined as Generation Z and millennials, we've grown up with the tech. The generations behind us, they're growing up with even more tech. There's a lack of digital transformation in the trades, in construction, and the people coming into those trades expect that, and unless the digital transformation happens, it's going to be tough to get those people into that marketplace as labor. So, how are we going to solve this? I think ZipRecruiter means Match.com.
Does not require a question.
For skilled trades in any field, and the big picture, blue sky, in any industry. So we're going to start with a digital portfolio and profile. This is going to be a place where people can just simply upload, hey, I actually am OSHA Certified 1000. I do have my skid steer certification. I am certified forklift operator. And then when they do their jobs, right? As a hiring body, I hire you. You go to the job, you do a good job, great. Automatically uploads that I did that project and I was there and I showed up and I did the job. I now, as a tradesperson, don't have to manage a digital resume like a LinkedIn profile, right? Starts to auto update. I can build my presence. People can find me. We're really solving for supply side first. We want people on the platform, using the platform, showing who they are so that they can get hired to fill those 700,000 vacant jobs right now. And then moving, after we solve for supply side, we're going to build tools for construction management firms, general contractors, to then manage those teams, be more efficient in their hiring processes, and then be more efficient in managing them, getting the right people to the right places at the right time. This obviously creates a networking opportunity where earlier we were talking about the people looking for the jobs can't find the jobs, and the people trying to find the people to fill the jobs can't find those people. We can create that intersect point where those two things meet. After solving for the profile, supply side and the demand side, these are some of the things that we're looking at in the future. Obviously, bi-directional review systems like we talked about. What that affects is things like your Elevate score. It's a very simple way to identify, hey, is this person actually good at their job? Hey, they have a high Elevate score. I think they're going to be good for my job. I'm going to send them a hiring. Safety, risk management, name of the game in construction, right? There's a reason why OSHA exists. There's a reason why all these projects are insured through the guilds, right? Risk is a big thing. There's a way that you can track people's performance and make sure that they aren't a risk to the job site. Hey, you're mitigating risk. Advanced search and sorting. So this comes back to that persona, industry-specific resumes. We're actually creating one of the first platforms where you can build an industry-specific resume, be very detailed in what you can do and why you can do it well. Solopreneurship. College is getting more expensive. I think it's 1,700% more expensive than it was 50 years ago. Hey, you get into the trades, you can be an HVAC technician, you can make it 6 figures in 2 years. There's a track for solopreneurship in the trades. The next generations are looking for technicals like these. Required platform adaptation. So, we're looking at talking to trade schools, vocational schools, people like that. Hey, how do we solve for supply side? Well, you're a vocational school, you're a trade school, your job is to get people jobs. Build them an elevator profile. Get them on the platform. Allow them to be found. Allow them to highlight their skills. And do it in an automated sense where they don't have to be worried about building their own brand. They're tradespeople. They go do the trades. We manage that. So, the ask tonight. Run on a sentence. Here we go. Can a platform like Elevate attract younger generations to join the trades? And will the existing workforce be persuaded to adapt to digital transformation? And if so, how can that be positioned?
Okay. Clarifying questions. That's a wordy ask. Does everybody understand? What we're after here. I'll throw out a clarifying question. Clearly, I need. I'll use the word Smith, right? This feels like the app should be called, X Smith, if you will, right? Like Goldsmith, Blacksmith, and all that stuff, because those are dying. They've died off, to be fair. And how can we bring that back, into the fray? Especially, there's definitely a governmental. Maybe this is my first thoughts at some level, but there's a governmental element to this in like the workforce centers, right? Where like we'll train you to be a CDL, commercial driver or whatever, but you're actually the person or you're the entity where you're going to hold people's hand to make that happen and to reintegrate as a committed member of the community. My clarifying question is, why is this the beachhead? Why construction? Like, why that niche?
It's a good question. We Construction is probably the most difficult this is going to be in terms of building persona-specific digital resumes in order to get specific people to do specific jobs. We saw construction as having gone through the least amount of digital transformation. So the barrier to entry is very tall, but on the backside of that, we see a great opportunity in construction tech, just being a great marketplace to enter into. And if we can do it in construction, it's pretty easy to replicate on down the line to IT staffing, to digital services staffing, you name it.
Okay. Anyone else with a, Justin?
Quick question. How does money move around? How does the platform make money?
Yeah, good question. So we'll probably start with a free model, right? We want to get supply side on. We'll never charge someone to go in and make a profile as a trade person in order to be found to hire a job. We're looking into SaaS models right now for companies to have a model in which they can use this to start to manage their teams, right? So there's a subscription option, and then there's a freemium option, things like continuing education, certification, background checks, all of those transactional pieces in the hiring process can be monetized, and they can be monetized at different levels depending on what the need is of the hiring.
Jordan?
Can you just clearly define supply and demand?
Sorry. Supply would be anybody looking for a job, demand would be anybody looking to hire that person.
Michelle, and then Ari.
So your question talks about how do you attract younger generations to the trades? The way that you've presented the platform right now, it seems like it's a repository of talent where it's a marketplace. What are you using to incentivize people? What are the things that you're not talking about to help us understand how you're going to bring new people into these workforce, that specific area of the workforce?
So on a macro scale, that's the big question that we're trying to solve for right now. But some of the things that we've looked into are talking to vocational schools and trade schools, and then bringing on job postings, another monetary opportunity there, Justin. So if we have jobs and we have supply side, we just need them to meet. If this is the place where they're going to meet, we're solving for both at the same time, right?
Okay, Ari, and then if anybody.
It was Tivan.
We're good. Oh, sorry, Tivan.
I didn't know. Oh, we just kind of the same name.
Yeah, sorry. I saw a hand and it was in front of Ari. Sorry.
So it seems like a lot of the value is that Elevate score, and it seems like a lot of that would come from the demand side reviewing the candidate. So how do you get that initial validation? Everyone fills out a profile, but their Elevate score is poor or unverified. How do we make that valuable from the start? Or what's the plan?
So to start a profile, it's all going to be self-identified. Say, hey, I'm a carpenter. I can also do roofing, but I do have an OSHA certification. We can verify that OSHA certification. All of those interactions on the platform will raise your Elevate score. And then when you're in the market, actually doing the work, receiving reviews, that's when we start to bump it up. And so that's the side of gamification from getting people engaged from both HR and from the people that are on the platform. So to start with, self-identified, verified, and creating transparency.
Okay, so there's a little chicken and the egg element to this, I feel like. And I'm just trying to frame like how we go. Steph, we're going to start with you and we're going to work our way around, okay? So you're first. Dive in. And you can sit back down, but
I really like the idea of getting all of the companies that are hiring on the platform first, because there's a lot of different marketing campaigns that I think that then can work into the positioning of how to get folks to sign up. I'm not honestly sure a lot of how these folks currently find each other, full disclosure, but I do think that if you have all of these well-known companies that are hiring on the platform that have good contracts available to folks in the existing workforce, and then you go around and kind of guerrilla marketing style it to different trade schools or even high schools or middle schools even who are trying to figure out, I don't know if it's a high school decision or post-high school, but whatever the school is before you make the decision of like, hey, this is a viable career option for you almost during those career days. Like, look at all the awesome larger companies that are hiring, look at like the career trajectory there, and we make this really easy to do. I think that would be a really good way to make it more positioned, because I believe kind of the way it is positioned now is a bit more antiquated of you make a skill, you find, the one company to go hire you, and like I believe with that one company who then kind of like contracts you out. So some guessing, because I'm still piecing together and it's not my area of expertise, but I do like the idea of it.
Don't disqualify yourself. You're all good. George.
I'm in. I think I love it. I really do, and I think that I guess where I wonder is if I'm a company that's on there and I see somebody that ticks a lot of boxes and I need them to tick these 2, but they end up ticking all 6, I'm taking that person rather than somebody that just ticks those 2. I'm not even looking at them because their score would be so low, and so I wonder like what's the mechanism for helping people with poor scores or people new to the world improve to get better. How can this help them? But I love this.
Okay.
And also I expected at some point to hear you mention unions, and I don't think I did.
Okay, fair enough. Michelle.
So, two-prong, I think it's exciting because you have all these colleges that are providing, the tech schools that are providing all of these jobs, and people come out trying to figure out where to connect. This is a great platform. I would double click on what Steph just said, because understanding the way that this specific market works, people at middle school is what we have found are actually starting to decide whether they're going to go into this job. So if you really want to start building up that next generation, then how do you gamify it to just like present it as an opportunity? And maybe the best way to do it, schools right now are starting to develop what they call the pathway program, in which they start like figuring out where people want to go and they start positioning them, and maybe getting connections with schools at an early, like grade schools would be a great place to have this at too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ari.
+1 to Steph and Michelle. I think it elevate in and of itself not sufficient to attract people to the workforce, but can definitely be an awesome tool to plug in really, really far upstream to like catalyze that early adoption. I would have, having not demoed it, I would have concerns about the existing workforce's ability to adopt a digital platform. So my thought would be that like that has to be super, super lubricated and really, really plug and play. And
thank you. Sivan.
It sounds like the biggest problem with money around it is the hiring on the demand side. I've had pest companies offer me $2,000 when I'm booking pest control to just bring them a 20-year-old who wants to work, and they're offering to pay the 20-year-old like $5, $7 extra per hour, more than like their best guy, just because they need someone right now. So there's a huge problem with the demand, and I don't know that you need to build the whole network of young folks to solve that. I think you can go on a job-by-job basis, and you can take those pest companies that really want to hire someone, market that pest job, and by the way, before we put you in touch with that pest company, just fill out this profile, and we'll make sure that this kind of helps you in your career going forward. I'll start with the demand actually.
Perfect. Gina.
+1 to George. I love the idea, and there's 2 ways that I might think about considering it. Firstly, there's a similar platform for professional studies called Quincia that actually builds the resume and also does mock interviews using AI for college students who are pursuing, finance jobs or whatever. But taking that idea and aligning yourself with Essex Technical High School, perhaps, and to George's point about the unions is where I might start in a primary fashion. The Carpenters Union, if you go right down the expressway, they're all headquartered there, and they're always looking to plug in their membership into jobs because they're typically one-off solopreneurs. So I might think about getting a little proof of concept with them because I think any help that you could offer them would be quite beneficial.
Thank you. Moran.
Yeah, so where my mind goes is to focus. Like your question is attracting younger generations to join the trades, and I feel like, are you trying to solve that problem, or are you trying to solve the connecting people who've made the decision to go into the trades with jobs and people who want jobs? Those are 2 radically different problems, and I think you got to pick which one you're solving. And I would solve the latter personally, but and then the other thing on focus is I don't know how different hiring carpenters versus HVAC versus pest control. And so as you're starting out, I wonder, do you need to get even more specific than trades to get started? So we're going to be the best place to hire carpenters, full stop. Not because that's where you want to end up, but because that now narrows who you're talking to, who you're trying to get on board, and the community that's building it.
Thank you. Megan.
I love this idea. I think it's so necessary. The aspect of the question that's most interesting to me is how do we attract younger generations into these trades that are sort of dying off? And I don't know why my mind went to the incentivization around policy change, around dollars and how they're spent, around saving for college and saving for trade school. And I'm not sure why my mind went there, but there has to be a better incentive for students to join the trades. And I wonder if maybe you make your mark or enter the market with that conversation, or furthermore, look at how you can change policies on how people spend money on college and instead go to trade school. I don't know why those things come up for me, they do. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Thank you. So I feel like you pulled a Plaxico Burress and you shot yourself in the foot with the ageist component to this. This isn't a youth problem. This is and forgive the elements of what I'm going to share that is slightly qualifying, but we did a House of Genius for the World Trade in Colorado, and the keynote speaker talked about how the future is going to be an economy where you either tell a computer what to do or a computer tells you what to do. And the Smith world, which is kind of what I think this is, like the trade, like you have a skill that has nothing to do with technology or computers other than tools. That world is a world we're going to live in, and that world is underserved. And the idea that you're automating resumes and like the Angie's List for people who have skills and trades, there is something to that. The thing that worries me is, does that mean I have to have a phone? I have to create an account? Like, how do I become a part of this system in a way that, there's a book called The Change Function by Pip Coburn, and his thesis is about a metric called the PPA, it's perceived pain of adoption. And the thesis is that the easier something is to adopt, the more likely it is to succeed. And this needs to be that. His use case is the flat screen TVs. There used to be huge box TVs, right? But flat screens within 4 years saturated the market. And the reason they took off was because the remote control didn't change. So the perceived pain of adopting that new technology, it didn't solve a problem I had, right? Like I went from, my house has this carved out wall to put my big, huge TV in. And instead now I've got a beautiful picture hanging on that's now my TV. In 4 years, almost, market saturation was like 87%. In 4 years, everyone had a flat screen TV. Didn't solve a problem they had, a burden they needed, but everybody got it because it was so easy to get it. This needs to be that for the people with skills looking for the job and vice versa. So it's the perceived pain of adoption that you should be hyper focused on from both ends. And this is a can't miss.
Great. I would say +1 to George, and just having messaging around about unions would be owning the framing, because everything I'm looking at the lens through, it's thinking about sort of looking at this question, right? And thinking about how to positioning. I love that. It's all about positioning and framing. So I'd say positioning vis-a-vis unions is just valuable, leaning into that positioning a little bit and what that might be. And that's kind of an outstanding question perhaps this House of Genius can answer. +1 to Steph and Michelle about connecting with schools early and sort of that pathway stuff that you were talking about, Michelle, that really resonates with me strongly. +1 to Gina on POCs, really just those initial use cases. And I think what piggybacks off that was Warren was talking about, it seems like you're talking like narrowing that initial focus even more, like to some specific trades and like figuring out like what and being, you know, we talked about this a lot today, like depending on which organization like is tied to which trade that we can quickly get to some scale, like own that sort of trade first and then building out from there. I think, you know, plus one tone, like it's got to be easy to adopt. I think to that point, it's a really well thought out platform. In a lot of ways, like I think the right word, what was used is like it's a marketplace. But what's the single attribute that Elevate will hang its hat on as like the attribute that hooks people in? And then just one kind of thought, I guess, tangential to that is, I don't love the solopreneurship framing. As I like reflect on that, I don't think this is a group that, like, whether or not they do or don't like resonate with that word, I think that word can be, I think it could be alienating. And I like in this, I don't know if this is the right framing either, but like the word side hustle come to mind, where it's like, if it's early enough for folks, if it's students in high school or maybe students that are, you know, maybe doing a gap year, like think about like the sort of like public awareness campaign where like we don't yet, not yet does it seem that we take as much a gap year in the United States as folks do globally. But what if like Elevate's like sort of, you know, call to arms was for young people to just consider like a year where they like consider it's a side hustle that is potentially on a journey towards like their future, and they can sort of like explore themselves, explore trade, gain employment, you know, like earn money, but without necessarily like, and then deciding like, oh, I really like this, or you know what, I really want to do school. Because there's this point at like 18, 19 years old where there's a lot of people that like don't know what they want to do, and they probably increasingly shouldn't go to school right away because of this 1,700% increase in costs. So I don't know if the side hustle framing is great or not, but
1 and
yeah.
1A.
Yeah.
1 and 1A.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Go for it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Iris.
Yeah.
I think that trade workers definitely deserve a professional platform where they can advertise their skills. I think that's really important. I want to plus one everyone who mentioned integrating trade school affiliate programs into your younger generation outreach, but I would offer the suggestion that maybe you could also look into reaching out to larger, successful construction companies who already have a large employee base to see if anyone would be interested in getting their employees on board with any of this. And then lastly, I was thinking of another little idea that could maybe be connected to your business model, which is offering training opportunities that can fill in the resume gaps that a couple people mentioned could be an issue. I think that would be really helpful in adding value to your programming as like something that can add on to a person's resume as well as give them a space to host it.
Thank you, Ariel.
Yeah, so I think this idea is really, really important, mostly because, or the reason that it's top of mind for me, even outside of this presentation, is actually because of climate change. So like the need for electricians, the need for HVAC workers, like the need for these tradespeople is only going to go up exponentially as we try to, you know, completely reimagine our economy. So I think it's a super, super important problem. I actually, like, it immediately brought to mind, I don't know if you're familiar with the company Forge in Boston, who like have been attempting to do something similar. I think the thing that's difficult is there's a supply problem, but it seems like there's not a demand problem. And in fact, a lot of the people who are a part of this demand group, like specifically have probably gone into these trades, I would imagine, either because they don't have the language skills, or they don't have the desire to, you know, kind of like participate in like some of these more established ways. You see, like when you go to do a renovation on your house, it can be really difficult to like even just put together like a small group of people. So anyway, I think it's a super important problem. I think the demand side, like there's a reason that it hasn't been done yet. And plus one to Zach, I actually think that like maybe the unlock in this is, instead of saying like we need more electricians, like are there parts of these trades that you can do without like making this huge commitment to trade school. Like for example, like an HVAC guy, so much of what they do is they go and they switch out the furnace filters. Like that is so easy to do. Or they put the cover on your air conditioner and like clean it off. Like there's no reason like a real HVAC person needs to be doing that at my home. Or like with electricians, like sometimes they're just switching out light switches. Like there are things that are so much easier. So I wonder if there's like a way, like the prompt I would give you is like, how do you unlock demand? Because right now there's no demand problem, and until there is, this won't work. So how do you unlock demand so that there's a problem on both sides?
Interesting. Joshua.
I'm gonna have to be the first to minus both Ariel and Zach.
That's awesome.
I think
We're officially underway.
Entrepreneur positioning is exactly what you need, and a platform like Elevate is exactly what the younger generation needs to transition to the trades. Case in point, my brother's 19 and he's starting a landscaping company, and he's having a lot of challenges with connecting with clients he wants to hire, and to the point he's not at all seeing this as a side hustle. He knows this is exactly what he wants to do. He wants to start and expand this company and scale it. So he's printing business cards, doing all these old school methods because there's really no niche for, you know, personal branding and digital marketing for the trades in particular. So if you could find a way where entrepreneurs in the trade could, you know, deliver their value proposition, interface with clients, and get referrals. Because right now he has people texting back and forth. But if you could have a central landing place where everyone could see his reviews and qualifications, and also a place for him to find other talent to hire out, that would be huge, and he would be first in line to pay for it.
Wow. Nice. Liz, follow that.
I have a lot to say.
1 and 1A.
I know. Okay. Oh, where do I start? Sorry. No, this is not a critique. First off, I really love what you're doing, though. Instead of ZipRecruiter meets Match, I want to see it as Glassdoor meets Match. I want to see that qualified talent not only can find really good employers, but like those but yeah, that they can find really good employers, because not all of the employers within the trades are good places to work. And I think what you're going to be seeing as you go through this is that like you're getting the young kids from high school and middle school and whatever entering. They've got a high digital literacy. The people currently in the industry have a low digital literacy. You need to invest a lot in UX for that exact reason. But that there's so much technology being used in the trades right now that I don't see this being an issue for people to adopt if you're able to market it the right way. Unions are a really great place to do it. I want to see you partner with Skills USA and like some of the really big companies that are dominating some of these industries and who are already working on the areas where they're trying to get people into the industry. I kind of agree with Warren on that point. You should focus on matching people up rather than trying to get people into the trades. Partner with the people who are already doing a really good job on that. Help that grow and help them get jobs once they've gotten these skills, once they've gotten into it. Finally, you probably are expecting to hear this from me, but your branding, your persona speaks as a tradesperson. I get it. Elevate, the word can work, but the branding you have right now says tech bro.
Thank you. All right, Justin.
So first, I think that my impression, I thought the presentation was great, by the way, that you're focusing more on organizational demand, like even, you know, unions or employers versus kind of gig demands, like I need somebody to come do drywall at my house. That could be an eventual expansion at some point, but I think you've made the choice, or I'm assuming you've made the choice not to do that, because that's how it came across to me. And I think if you were trying to do that too right now, some of Ariel's concerns may also apply. I think it taps in really well to the supply-demand dynamics in that industry. With the bidirectional review, you're kind of funneling quality supply to quality demand. And I think that I really don't want to cite Uber because everybody does that all the time, but the core elements of what made it successful was funneling quality supply to quality demand, because that didn't exist with cabs. So I think that that's a good plus. On the perceived pain of adoption, so +1 on that. And I think actually skilled laborers, if we're talking about skilled laborers like carpenters and plumbers, I don't know about you guys, my plumber has a vineyard as a side project because he does really well. He's got an iPhone that's nicer than mine. The young laborers are tech native, so I don't think that's a problem to get them to do an app, but I do think that there's a big cross-section in the middle that may not be on iPhone, they may be on Android, they may be on flip phones. But the generative AI tooling to use SMS as a primary interface for people in the middle can work really well for this with a couple web links, and they could never download an app at all, and you could probably get them to an employer, and it could work. So it's just something to think about.
Thank you, Kristen.
This kind of notification from Uber while you were saying.
You just broke the rules. Hey, Kristen.
I think focusing more on the second question where you're talking about digital transformation, from conversations and seeing tradespeople right now, if you're really looking at the extremely experienced, like older group that's getting closer towards retirement, they're not digitally native. Some of them don't have laptops. Some of them are still on flip phones because there's enough work where they can get through it with just their phone, just people knowing them. So I don't see them really wanting to transition to learn how to use a phone, learn how to go on a website. It's harder for them to learn, and it's not really your market. I think targeting the younger demographic and really pulling into that side is where you should focus, and that's really where you're going to build the traction, and it'll eventually grow into the whole market. But I don't really know if you really want to spend your energy on those people who are closer to retirement with the experience. So maybe it starts out as more of a recruiting platform to get people into the trades, and it evolves into for everyone in the trades through all years of experience.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, I would build on or plus to what Kristen and what Justin both said.
Speak up, Aaron.
Most of the tradespeople that I know, they text back and forth, they WhatsApp, they do stuff like that. They're not using a lot of technology. I would also add in that a lot of them, English isn't their first language. So thinking of like, how would you catch that audience? And then as far as like catching in a younger generation, like maybe a process of adding in some form of training that you can offer through that or something like that that seems a little bit more attractive. You're saying that HVAC could make 6 figures. I mean, I would think if I heard that and college wasn't my thing, that would sound attractive. So like just even thinking of like maybe even the numbers as an option to get people to come in or whatever that thing is that young people, I'm not a young person, but whatever that thing is that young people like. That's
Don't disqualify yourself.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, the main thing I thought was that a lot of my friends who are tradesmen, English isn't their first language, so if there was like another option that they could have to function with, that might be helpful.
Thank you, Aaron. Kara.
I want to plus one what George says. I like.
Speak up.
I want to plus one what George said. I like the idea, and I think the addition of, building the digital resume, that'll differentiate you and help your hirees but I also like what Josh said, and then the idea of maybe partnering with influencers that are in the trades to get this out there to keep the younger generation stimulated on learning about this, because as Aaron was saying, if you know what's out there, then you're more likely to go towards that.
Thank you, Kara. I mean, fascinating, the idea of a plumber having its Instagram channel. That's amazing. Elijah. I like that.
Yeah, plus two on what Toma said. My first immediate reaction was the chicken and the egg. I do think it is a two-sided problem. In my eyes, it's important to distinct that this is not a communication app. It's a recruiting app and kind of connection app between the chicken and the egg, essentially. And in terms of the question, I think younger generations maybe are probably more likely, obviously, to download an app or experience with a website if they think it will help them land a job. Now, the main problem I would see then would be making sure the demand is there. So again, to Thomas' point of the pain of adoption, I think it's really going to be more tailored towards the demand and kind of incumbent companies and employees and workforce there that aren't already, the people that are in the workforce already that aren't on the platform. I think people entering the workforce, if they're told to like, hey, to be successful in this field, we recommend you do this, that's a easier pitch than people that are already in it. And then I wanted to plus one on Iris, who was talking about training, and I think one of the questions I was frequently asked was, what's going to be the Elevate score for people that are coming out of high school, coming out of these VOTEC schools right away? And I believe that a lot of these VOTEC schools, or schools that even have like tech wings within their systems, what they'll do is for either a semester or a year, senior year, last spring semester of high school, whatever, they'll actually do like projects, or maybe they'll help almost as a contractor for a local company or on a local project or something. So if you're already partnering with the schools or these VOTEC schools to get to kind of motivate their students to be onboarded to your platform, if you could kind of allow their professor or their teachers, I guess, to actually give them that score through your platform as well. So then by the time they come to the workforce ready to look for a job, they don't just have that baseline score. If there's a phenomenal student that he has, that kind of he's rewarded with that score as well.
Awesome, thank you, Jordan.
This is exhausting going like towards the end. Like so much ammo to talk about, but
that's kind of the point.
So yeah, it's a double-sided marketplace. It's a classic problem, which is very complicated, chicken or the egg, and it's one that is nuanced by unions. So a lot of the lack of tech in this space is due to the inefficiency created by unions. Of any time you have a pressure on supply and demand curve, it's inefficient. And so it hasn't allowed for a lot of this tech to come up because they've solved the problems for people. And so that has created the awesome jobs that exist. And it's also created the PR nightmare of like, you shouldn't be getting these jobs, like getting people to understand this. Like, that's a PR issue that you don't want to solve. Something needs to happen to talk about these because it's amazing jobs. And people should definitely be doing this over a lot of other careers out there. But a big minus to the opinions on like this population can't do technology. Like it's an exhausting opinion, and I'd really like plus 1,000 to Iris that they deserve this technology. I really love that. Like that woke up a lot of thoughts on this of that like this needs to happen for them to allow them to have this vehicle to become better entrepreneurs in these trades. And I think they're extremely capable. They just haven't had the vehicle. Like they're not going on LinkedIn because no one's hiring on LinkedIn for these jobs. And so the marketplace doesn't exist. And I think it empowers them a ton if we can provide this kind of technology out there. So
thank you, Jordan. Clay.
In lieu of an opinion, I'm going to just share something I stumbled upon in the wild. Literally posted on Reddit 2 days ago, r/skilled trades, if you're interested. Titled, Transferable Skills from Computer Science to Carpentry. This is validation, I guess, of market fit. The person posts, I'm planning on moving into a carpentry apprenticeship after spending the past 7 years working in tech as an engineer and product manager. Long story, but the industry has turned on its head, I presume tech, and I've been out of full-time work for nearly 2 years and need to find a new career path. Curious to know what, if any, skills might be transferable from tech, my previous experience, into the trades. I'm thinking about things like CNC programming or project management, but wanted to hear people's thoughts here in case I should focus my attention on a specific niche skill set within the trades. Thanks in advance. That is all.
Okay, thank you. So anything you want to address before it's open forum? Okay. Don't defend your baby.
Not defending my baby.
Okay.
Unions is just a tough egg to crack. I don't disagree with
Speak
anybody.
up.
I don't disagree with anybody that brought up unions. Like, yes, but I had a union. This isn't in defense. I just want to give everyone context.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
They looked at that number and they said, we can't have anybody in our unions associated to a number because they do what's called signing the book. You're next up. Go.
Yep.
if there's a number associated to them, then the union serves no purpose.
So they can't rank or coordinate. So
You get-
everyone's equal.
Everyone's like.
Interesting.
Guy literally told me he was like, if there's
Yeah,
300-pound guy shows up and he's gonna, and it's a roofing job, he's going. Like, if we could, yes. Schools, trade schools, people like going to those as vessels by which we can, give people the tool. Iris, I love the comment, by the way. Plus, I got the door. Yeah, yep. I'd love to figure that one out. One thing I didn't mention, and not in defense, but I just wanted to add to the overarching conversation around this, is that we've also heard from people that want to become a certified electrician, and they just simply can't figure out how. Like, the uniformity, the homogeneity of data, like as tech people, it seems like these should be such low barriers to entry, but they're, like, even unions operate differently, union to union, county to county. The industry is so fragmented in its inability to even just use the same pathways or the same words in some cases that, like, I think somebody, I think Warren, you had mentioned something about, like, just be the best at, like, we're starting with carpentry, and, like, to piggyback on that, like, we need to start with carpentry, like, in this county. And then if we can solve for that, like, try to get it one-on-one. So I think they're all centering around that.
Okay, I want to dive in and give some piece, and I think I'm building on Ariel. Forgive me if I'm missing the wrong panelist here, but to me, there is this barrier to entry of certification versus I'm capable of solving your problem, regardless of context, right? Like I can replace the filter or whatever, or I can, change the gaskets on your car because it's burning oil. Like, the idea is that I know how to solve your problem, and being able to solve somebody's problem is a way of making a living that a platform could make possible. And this potentially goes, I think, to the branding of Elevate. Like Elevate seems really grandiose, and this is a little more. My dad's a mechanic, right? My dad can fix anything. He can take everything apart and put it back together. And I tried to help him start a company called the Mexican Jumping Bean. I'm half Mexican, so let me qualify myself there. But the idea was that he would have a Snap-on van driving around the mountains in Colorado, and he would fix your fridge, your washer, your car, what have you. The idea is that there is this antiquated notion, and this goes to the ageist element of it. The old model is you have to clear this hurdle to officially be capable of employment. But today, if you can solve my problem, I don't care if you can do all the other things. I just care that you can solve my problem, and you become the market for the solvers for the problem I have. And that's a massive market, because you're not even playing in the employment game at that point. You're just the right here, right now. And everyone's got a right here, right now. Jordan.
Yeah, I think if we use the Uber analogy that's overused, like, what is the driver's license and what is the taxi medallion? And so
say that louder. Say that louder.
What is the driver's license and what is the taxi medallion? The medallion was worthless. Like, that was your ability to be in market to be there. The driver's license was your qualification. And so some electrical, like, you need proper certification. Like, I don't want somebody wiring my house that doesn't know what they're doing.
Depending on the problem.
Correct. And so, like, determining where that line is and where's the medallion, it's kind of silly and built into the industry and making it inefficient. And, like, what is the actual driver's license associated with this? And usually the driver's license is much easier to get for each of those problems. And how can you recertify people in the industry could be very interesting.
To build on that is like the future of the economy, I think, which is more spontaneous than it is like long arc, so to speak, because everything moves faster now, right? Like we're all hyper connected. Everything moves faster now. So those antiquated models of like, go to school for 4 years, get your certification, you're gonna have a job for 30 years, and you're gonna get a retirement. That world doesn't exist anymore. It's right here, right now. I've got an issue I want to deal with, and I don't care if you have a certification. I just need to know that you can solve this problem. This could be a platform for that, right? Like you're the future of college education. Not to be hyperbolic, but anyway, Liz.
Two things. First off, instead of unions, I think you should reach out to the trade associations, because the members of the trade associations are both union and non-union company owners. They're constantly asking the trade associations, where do I post my job to get qualified candidates? And oftentimes, those trade associations can't post the job because of anti, what's it called? Where they're not allowed to like fix prices. That word. Anyway, trade associations.
Okay.
I feel like there's a difference in the conversation around whether or not you're mostly aiming to help companies hire or to help people get into like a solopreneur kind of thing, whether you call it that or something else, versus people who are trying to get hired by companies that do large-scale commercial-sized projects where a lot of the money is. So for people who are looking to start their own business or to just work on the smaller projects, I think I agree with you that certifications are a thing of the past. But in that really high-money commercial area, that is where the certifications are going to be really helpful. So I feel like that is really useful for that end of the hiring population.
Okay, does anybody have a burning thought, Savon, and then bring it home?
Oh, do I have to put a bow on this?
No, yeah, man.
All right, well, let's bring it back to the ticket tree conversation. Because I think we're having a similar, or there's a similar dynamic here where you actually have two problems that you're solving. One is, how do I get qualified applicants hired by these companies that seem to have a dearth of people? And the other is, how do I create this like flywheel of people in a network that then they can dip into the pool and hire from? They're two separate problems. The question is, which problem do you want to solve first? Because solving one necessarily makes it harder to be good at the other one. So I'm just going to go back to, I think demand is the problem. You could go to trade organizations, you say, I got 1 million people who are going to do this job, and then you go out and you do ads and you get those people. There's going to be friction if you try to get those people to sign up to that. And so that's where kind of the sleight of hand has to come in. Like, when do you onboard people, how do you onboard? But I think the problem is the demand problem, and you solve that just by connecting the dots correctly. And I think you could really get led astray by trying to focus too much on being linked in for the trades.
Thank you. Okay, everyone. So one of the definitions of genius is the ability to look at a problem from as many angles as possible, faster than anyone else. Pattern recognition, what have you. Thank you all for sharing your perspective. For the three presenters here, this is what human beings can be when we get out of our own way, and we're not about our credentials, our titles, and we're just all in it together. So now's when we do the reveal. So we're gonna go around the room, take about a minute, and share the Cliff Notes version of whatever you think is important to share at this point about yourself. And maybe it includes job titles, maybe it doesn't. But we're gonna go around, and Zach, you're gonna start us off. And we're gonna go this way.
What's up, everybody? I'm Zach, Zach's for Video. I am the founder and host of Boston Speaks Up, which is how I've connected with some people here. I'm also co-founder of Value Creation Labs. I love to build things that bring people together, which is why I love doing this with Toma right now. Recently started CoFlow, which is pop-up co-working in Beverly that is kind of going to expand beyond Beverly soon. And also a partner in a new consulting venture, Proximity. Proximity is one of the sponsors of today's event too. I've previously spent time as the entrepreneur in residence at Angle Center for Entrepreneurship, our gracious hosts. Thank you, Gina. And I love particularly working with startups and entrepreneurs and just people that are looking to just solve problems together. I think we are as strong as the great humans that we keep around us, and I'm really grateful to be with all of you today.
Thank you. Iris.
Hi everybody, my name is Iris. I am a junior here at Endicott College studying business management. I'm on an accelerated program and planning to graduate in the spring. I also have my certificate of fashion design management from Cornell University. And a little fun fact about myself is that I recently got my motorcycle license, and I look forward to buying my first cruiser this spring for the summer.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
That's awesome.
Wear a helmet.
Ariel.
Hi, my name's Ariel. I'm a senior UX research manager at LinkedIn, so know a lot about two-sided marketplaces
Louder.
and hiring.
Oh,
and
we got to be a little louder because people can't hear.
Sorry. So I run a UX research team at LinkedIn, so know a lot about two-sided marketplaces. I'm the anchor for our knowledge kind of area within LinkedIn, so yeah, very familiar with that particular space, and just moved to the area in June and got connected, of course, with Zach and ended up here.
Josh Vecchio here, MBA in progress here at Endicott, undergrad in biotech and exercise science. I'm currently founding a men's fitness, hormone optimization, and health coaching business, all online.
Thank you.
My name is Liz DiFiore, and currently I'm the Community Engagement Manager for BevCam, Beverly's Community Access Station. I'm also the immediate past president of the Graphic Artists Guild, a national trade association for graphic artists, focusing on teaching business to creative professionals. And prior to that, I spent 7 years in the architectural woodwork industry, both working as a marketing director for a lumber distribution company, as well as doing community engagement, membership management, and marketing for the Architectural Woodwork Institute, another national trade association. So I specialize in marketing and creative solutions around not-for-profits, especially trade associations. Good fit.
Awesome. Okay, Justin.
Hi, I'm Justin Bingham. I can say my last name.
Yeah, this.
I've been making tech
Wizard of Oz moment, man. Pull the curtain back.
I've been making tech since I was about 7. I've been building and running companies since I was 19. I'm a CTO by trade. Started a few companies, sold one. Right now, I lead a tech services team of about 300 people across all types of clients, mostly B2B, and have an incubator as well. B2B stuff, health and pharma, as well as some AI automated agents.
I have an incubator. That's awesome. Kristen.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen. I'm currently a senior at Endicott College studying marketing and entrepreneurship. I mainly focus in marketing and more like the accounting, the electrician, the real estate area, and I'm currently writing my senior thesis on financial literacy and its impact on female entrepreneurial confidence.
Nice.
Aaron Hill. I work for Accenture Federal Services as an associate lead designer. So I basically work for the government.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Kara Stingo. I am an MBA student here. And I got my undergrad at Johnson & Wales in baking and pastry arts, and I'm looking to open my own small business soon and get it off the ground.
What's up, guys? I'm Elijah. I study business marketing and data analytics here at Endicott. I'm a senior. I came in playing on the men's soccer team. I played for 1 year, then I met Zach and Gina at the Entrepreneurship Club, caught the entrepreneurial bug, and then I went on to get scammed when I bought tickets to a Celtics game, and then that started 3 years. That's me.
Dog fooding. Yeah. That's great. I was really hoping he was like a paid actor. Jordan Staub, an investor, advisor, more importantly, entrepreneur. So I've been starting companies for about 20 years now. First one was in the job space. We were a competitor to ZipRecruiter, sent about 100 billion emails, like alerting people of jobs in their area. Built a cool product that way. Pivoted that into a digital agency where Lyft and Uber, Apple Music, Dollar Shave Club were all clients, so we helped with user acquisition. Then I launched a travel company. We then ended up acquiring a company off of TripAdvisor called Smarter Travel Media. We had about 9 million subscribers to our newsletter and turned that into an online travel agency. And the most recent one is betterfinances.org, where we're teaching financial literacy to America.
Awesome, thank you. Clay.
Clay, I founded a company called Unicorn. We're kind of a private equity studio, so somewhere in the space, kind of inspired by one of my former mentors, Brad Felder, the founder of Techstars. This idea of like bringing venture back and startups back, but at a more like grassroots approach. I didn't have a great entrepreneurial school like Endicott, so I technically went to college for like 2 years and then like banged my head against the wall for like a decade and figured it out as I went, and just love what everyone is doing in this room. Really feel humbled to be amongst all of you, and just thankful to be here. So
William Goldie. I appreciate everyone in the room that gets the entrepreneurial spirit, because to Clay's point, we're all crazy people, effectively. Like, I'm not going to a job and working for 30 years and getting a gold watch. I just don't have it in me. But it takes crazy people to try something and keep trying and keep trying. To that end, I'll just tell you interesting stories. I emancipated myself when I was 19 from my parents to start my first company because I legally had to. It's an interesting process, by the way. Started my first company when I was 19. I've started a digital creative agency, started a high-end bike company, started a bartending business at one point, and have been in a multitude of different industries. And that's led me to become a partner at Unicorn to help build businesses, grow businesses, start, grow, exit, assist people. All the mines that I've stepped on in my career, I'd like to educate those people about those mines so other people don't have to step on them. And then, walk arm in arm with co-founders and take them through that journey. So, and fun fact, up until recently, I lived in an RV for about 1.5 years with my family.
My name is Stephanie Rolick. I am the founder of Startup Boston. We're an organization that connects the entire greater Boston and New England startup community. Prior to that, I co-founded a MarTech company. It was completely bootstrapped, and then I joined a seed-funded MarTech company as their head of ops and saw them through their Series A. So I've seen both sides of the coin there, and that's it.
First, William, Clay, Elijah, thank you for all being so vulnerable. And then also big shout out to the students that are here. It's pretty amazing. My name is George Devaney. I'm a season ticket holder for the Celtics. and the Revolution. I also bought a physical ticket for the 3 NBA final games that I went to when I had the opportunity. And I also sought out a printed ticket or a hard copy ticket for the first night at Dead & Company at the Sphere, because I value the tangible. Yes. So I'm with you. I'm a frequent concert goer, but I'm also a friend curator. I really like that. I like this. I like that opportunity. I'm also the Chief Advancement Officer for Make-A-Wish. It's a privilege to, when families are having worst news ever, to be welcomed into their lives and try to bring some joy. But that means I also work diligently in Salesforce and understanding the CRM part of it. And my house used to be the Sheet Metal Workers Union Hall when they were building their union hall. And I spent 17 years in urban education at City Year, which is an AmeriCorps program, which I felt like there was also something nagging at me about AmeriCorps with you. But and then one of my best friends is a plasterer, and it's a dying art. It's me.
I'm Michelle de la Isla, currently the CEO of Hack Diversity. So workforce space, we help underrepresented individuals get jobs in the tech sector. Prior to that, I was doing venture philanthropy at Draper Richards Kaplan, making investments in social entrepreneurs. Prior to that, I was in Kansas, and I was doing DEI and workforce development in a utility. And then before that, I'm going to say it, Zach, I'm looking at you. I am the retired mayor of the city of Topeka.
Go, girl. Yeah. That's great.
Ari Glantz. I am currently Executive Director of the New England Venture Capital Association and principal at AFG Woodworks as a boutique woodworking studio. I spent the last 10 years in venture. Prior to that, I was 3 years in the social work industry doing in-home services with high conflict homes. Prior to that, was a founder, and prior to that, I was born.
What's up?
My name's Tivan Amor. I'm the proud father of two 2-year-old and a 4-year-old who remind me every day that there are no rules, even if I try to make them up. I'm an investor, an advisor, and a lifelong entrepreneur. My current company is a marketing company. Previously, I started a hardware company selling bikes with a bunch of Kickstarters. Raised venture capital for that one. Learned that hardware is way too hard. Pivoted into a software solution. It was a MarTech company. Sold that to Attentive in 2021. I was an executive at this text message marketing company. Got to be inside a hyper-growth company, which I'd always tried to build myself and realized I had no business building, so it's cool to be part of that journey. And yeah, just really always looking for the next opportunity, and I spend most of my time talking to entrepreneurs and just BSing.
Hi, I'm Gina Deschamps. I'm the Executive Director of the Angle Center here at Endicott. And I firstly have to thank Toma and Zach for connecting all of us. Thank you so much. I'm really proud of all of our students who are here tonight. They are proof positive that when unlike minds gather in the room, there's a collision that happens and ideas are born. So we're working really hard to push the boundaries of innovation and entrepreneurship across the boundaries here at Endicott, because it doesn't live just in the School of Business. It has to intersect all over. So I cherish the opportunity, and thank you so much to all of you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Great to meet everybody. Really a fun night. Warren Brown, Canadian originally, but moved down here to Boston 24 years ago for what was going to be a 2-year adventure, and is now the adventure of my life. So there we go. And so I'm on my 7th startup now, which is either a sign that I should be thinking something different, or a sign that I love what I do. I take the latter. And have gone through everything from founding a company to early stage to turnarounds, and now currently run product for a company called Settle. We basically make the software that makes it easy for consumer brands to grow the back office of their business, and we lend them money. And so I'm in the fintech world and the software world.
That's wonderful. Hi, my name is Megan Fremont Smith. I am the co-founder of an agile consulting firm out of Boston, Mass. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I think I'm on my 4th endeavor thus far. And my specialty is in communication profiling. I've been a corporate trainer for almost 15 years. And I now come in and assess teams that work together, helping them have a little bit of self-awareness around the way that they communicate and how they are perceived by others, so that they can be better at sales, better at marketing, so on and so forth. So thanks for having me. Nice to meet you.
Cheers to all of that. I'm the founder of House of Genius back in Boulder, Colorado in 2010. One of the things I love to share with communities, we're in roughly 40 cities around the world, is how a community coalesces around entrepreneurship. And we've had House of Genius Boston before COVID, and this is sort of like the beginning of the relaunch of House of Genius. And the thing that jumps out at me from this community is it goes from guarded to let's get it on really quick, and that I think that's actually really cool. My background is in physics and computer science. I was lucky to come out of school at the high water mark of the .com. I had 4 job offers coming out of school. I think the world is very different now. I became the CTO of a $500 million company before my 30th birthday, and I tried to commit career suicide twice, once to go name 3 mountains north of Tibet, and another time to go caddy for my cousin on the PGA Tour for 2 years. And then as I came out of the PGA Tour, I jumped into entrepreneurship. My first foray was an enterprise called How True, which I was declaring in 2009, 2010, that social media was really going to wreak havoc on our democracy. Couldn't get anybody to really believe me at that point inside of a 6-year return on their investment. I've been my next CEO role will be my 6th. I've led 5 companies out of Singapore, Turkey, London, Boulder, Colorado, all in different industries. I'm just a wandering problem solver, and House of Genius was always my side project that would not go away, because it was really about how can we show each other what we can be if we'll just get out of our own way, leave the politics and credentials aside, and just recognize that we're all human beings and we're all in it together. And I'm grateful. I was trying to calculate, I think this is like my 1261st House of Genius, if I'm close. And everyone is as good as the one before and slightly better for some reason that I can never put my finger on. And so I really appreciate sharing the time and space with you all. I'm super grateful for the people that made this happen. Endicott and Gina, thank you so much for proximity. You put it in. And to all of you who, the House of Genius, genius by definition is the ability to look at a problem from as many angles as possible, faster than anyone else. And everyone's here because you have a different background and expertise at some level. And you're either older, younger, more female, more male, whatever. The point is that you are who you are, and you matter, and you have a perspective that counts. And this conversation that we've all shared on behalf of our 3 presenters, by the way. This is what humanity can be when we get out of our own way. And I'm really glad to share this time and space with you all. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Find the recording of this event.
I'm going to let Zach answer that because he was a part of my logistics.
Thanks to BevCam for being here. They were recording this event, and you can check out BevCam channels in the future. We'll share it out with everyone. But thank you, BevCam, for being here. Thank you all for being here. I love you all.
I was going to say, and also for everyone not sitting at the table, appreciate the support from everyone in the room or participation.
And after drinks, because this is not uncommon for House of Genius, everyone's like, I want to pick your brain. Forget your title. And we're going to...
I think we're going to go to the dog because we had some food here. So if anyone wants to go to Lucky Dog, 5-star dive bar, Beverly's finest.
There you go.
Let's go.
Currently
Giddy up.
Exactly.
That's so cool.